Hello, good evening, and welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. I'm Brian Fulford, and joining me right there, you see none other than the voice of Alcorn State Sports Radio, none other than Mr. Charles Edmond. Charles, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Brian. Happy holidays. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Well, you know, honestly, Charles, I'm gonna be honest because I'm into being honest these days. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's about a 4.5. No pie, no sweet potato, pumpkin, or what's the other one? Sweet potato, pumpkin. Help me out here. What's the third one? Pecan.
Oh well, yeah, pecan. Yeah,
pecan. I don't know how whatever you say it in your neck of the woods. None of that. No dressing and gravy. No turkey. No honey baked ham. Charles,
you had zero Thanksgiving.
Well, you mean Thanksgiving food? I mean, I'm thankful for the day. I'm thankful for.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
I didn't get a partake in anybody's glorious, meal. Wow. Nobody, no invitations, nobody said, look, I even went to a tailgate, went to Tallahassee for the first time all year, and not a near person brought me a piece of cake or pie.
Wow.
Peach cobbler. Yeah, Mary, peach cobbler. No peach cobbler either, Mary. I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed, and I braved the cold up there in Tallahassee, and none of my people brought me any kind of pie, so I'm just going to be honest, Charles.
I feel for you on that one. I was able to partake I was up in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I was able to partake in some Thanksgiving turkey. And I'm not a big dressing person. I just never have been. Turkey, chitlins.
Never had.
Yes.
Still. 5 decades, never had it. Never had it.
Turkey, macaroni and cheese. And a few other items, and a piece of a little bit of banana pudding, and I couldn't eat too much because I had to leave that particular gathering and drive all the way to Mobile because our basketball team played South Alabama on Friday. So I couldn't eat too heavy because I had a long drive ahead of me, but I was able to at least enjoy a little bit of Thanksgiving food.
Well, that's good. At least you got that. The alternative on that, Charles, is all my teams won over the weekend. So, it's a blue Sunday. My Colts decided to man up today. My Rattlers. Let me see. Let me rewind it here. My Colts showed up on Sunday. My Irish showed up on Saturday. My Rattlers showed up on Friday. Man, I had a good weekend from that perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm happy for you because it's just the opposite on this side of the fence. The Braves basically didn't show up against Jackson State. Basketball blew an 8-point lead against South Alabama with 2.5 minutes left. And then the Rams are tussling with the Saints, which it shouldn't be. But, hey, so right now my sports weekend is not been great. Thanksgiving was great, but after that, as far as on the gridiron and on the court, not so great.
See, there you go. So we all have our Thanksgiving trade-offs. So, so it is what it is. But I want to say hello to everybody joining us, however you are watching the show tonight. You might be watching the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page there at MyJBN Online, or you could be watching on our Facebook, Black College Sports Network, Facebook, and Instagram and Twitter pages, our BCSN SportsWrap Facebook and YouTube pages. You could even be watching us on, did I say Instagram Live? I don't know, Charles. I'm trying to put the show in so many places that sometimes I forget a complete roll call. Sometimes I think I wonder if it's better. Should we just put it in one place and tell everybody to go there? But, I guess you can't do that these days. It's kind of hard. People, you got to go to where the people are, right?
Yeah.
Got to go to where the people are. So I appreciate you for coming in for hour one. Drew, if you're wondering where Drew is coming back from, actually, he and the Morehouse Maroon Tigers, the basketball team, were down in Central Florida, kind of, sort of, for a weekend pair of games. And they should be back in Atlanta by now if he made it through traffic. Those of you who know what traffic is like in the ATL on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. But he says he'll be back in hour two. So we'll see. Coach Farasi Norman, Coach is in the chat room. So I know Coach said he'll be joining us here in hour two. So, that's kind of what the schedule is like today. Say hello to everybody joining us. Israel checking in. Good to see. I guess it's SWAC championship week, huh? So
yes.
That's the time it is. Now that all of the regular season games out of the way, Alabama State dismantled Tuskegee on Thursday. Charles, after watching that, did you get a chance to watch any of that on Thursday? The 100th Turkey Day Classic, by the way.
I saw a little bit of it. A great tradition, just a wonderful rivalry, and Alabama State just flat out got it done.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the person to have the hot take and say, should they even continue playing this for 100 more years? I'm not going to be that guy tonight.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But man, you almost hope that Tuskegee would rise up and be a little bit better, and maybe they are, maybe they will be, but it's maybe it's just a coach. I mean, Coach Eddie Robinson, he is unbeaten as a player and coach, 4-0 as a player, 3-0 as a coach. He just doesn't lose the Turkey Day Classic. He's just determined that and the Magic City Classic. I don't think he's lost either of those, Charles, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
a hell of a run.
No, and so I know Hornet fans are happy about those two games because that helps when you're evaluated. Those two games help. The Magic City definitely doesn't hurt, and the Turkey Day doesn't hurt. But it's the other stuff that people are probably smoking about as far as Alabama State is concerned. They had an opportunity to kind of put themselves in position for the Eastern Division, but they didn't get it done. As your Rattlers lost to Prairie View, that opened the door for Alabama State, but then they blew a 9-point lead at Grambling in the fourth quarter. If they had won that game, that Jackson-Alabama State game would have been for the division. But that's not the way it happened. Alabama State didn't get it done. Jackson State did, and therefore Jackson State's moving on.
Will you remind me at some point around SWAC Media Day, don't think about it until now, but if you can remember, whenever I get to talking about scenarios, just remind me, be like, Bryan, don't do it.
No.
Don't waste time. I can't even tell you the amount of time wasted and energy in talking about scenarios that I, in my heart, knew would never happen. I knew they would never happen. But, people want to, what's the scenario if this happens? Look, I'm not doing it next year, Charles. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I'm going to tell y'all to go to another show or do the math yourself. I'm not doing any scenarios next year, especially. See, look, Israel Carroll, yeah, and thank you. Yes, exactly. Israel, no more scenarios. I'm just going to hope that certain teams lose and certain teams win, and that's it. I'm just going to stop there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, this is one of those years in which you just didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, look, Brian, I want to show this to you.
What's that? Oh, I remember that.
The SWAC football media guide from July.
Yeah.
And so the predictions, of course, the predictions aren't in here, but I still have this for some reason. It's going in the trash after today. But
I wonder if I still have the predictions.
Yeah. Alabama State and Alcorn. That's what everyone predicted. That's what the prognosticators predicted. And here we've got Jackson State and Southern University. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I think the unpredictability of this league is going to be.
Talking about these predictions, Charles? Those predictions right there?
Yeah, those predictions. And again, I'm going to remind everybody, again, who votes? There's two classes of folks that vote.
Tell them.
Football coaches and the media relations directors.
Yeah.
You got new coaches. You got new SIDs. That's kind of a revolving door, unfortunately, in our league. Mm-hmm. And so, therefore, do they have all the data and information?
Yeah.
Some do, some don't. And therefore, this is what you got. Yeah. And so, even our coach, Cedric Thomas, at Media Day was shocked as heck when I said, Coach, we're picked to win the West. He said, really? And so, he was shocked. Yeah. But you got to play it out on the field. Alcorn was, after losing to Alabama State, that was kind of the final nail for us. And, Jackson State just flat out did what they had to do. Their toughest game was against Alabama State, which we kind of knew was going to be a defensive battle. But Jackson found a way to win that game. And Jackson can win whatever way you want. If you want a low-scoring slog, yeah. If you want a high-scoring battle, and early in the year, they were complaining that Jackson couldn't finish games, had big leads. And so, but Jackson got it done, bottom line. So you got Jackson and Southern playing for the championship coming up. It's going to be 50, 60,000 people at the vet. Should be a good one. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think Southern's defense is the real deal. I think if Southern's defense shows up, causes a couple of turnovers, could be an interesting game.
Yeah. Well, Jackson State, Southern fans, you can poke your chest out because you see preseason predicted third. Jackson State, you won it. Preseason predicted fourth, Southern, and you won the West. And I mean, and honestly, Charles, both of them were pretty much walkaways. Honestly, they really kind of wrapped them up very early. Southern wrapped theirs up with both of them wrapped theirs up with about 2-3 weeks left in the season in the SWAC schedule. So, props to those. Now, I did some, Charles. I saw Dr. Cavill asking me what were our predictions from our BCSN pundits. I don't have that information, but I do have something a little more telling about how crazy this season was. I do a over and under thing at the beginning of the year, kind of put out a BCSN, HBCU, FCS season win totals. I kind of look at a few sites, some data sites like MasseyRatings.com, and I try to create a line, try to basically predict, well, if in a betting marketplace, what would that look like? What would it look like for HBCU programs? So a little bit later in the show, I'll go back and show what we predicted and then what the actual results were. And let's just say if you're one of those optimistic people, Charles, I probably made the sports book a lot of money. Let me just say it like that. I set a number where if you were optimistic, you were probably betting overs. It was not an over year, put it like that. But interestingly enough, looking at one of the sites that I look at in terms of what they predicted for the season, I looked at one site, and I'll just relate it to the SWAC, Massey, in terms of season totals among the 12 SWAC teams. They actually went 10-2 in their predictions where they were either 100% correct or off by one game. And of the 10, they got 4 of them exactly right, and the other 6 they were off by one win or one loss. There were only 2 schools in which they predicted that they were off by two games or more. So, I don't know. Some people like paying attention to data, like the preseason predictive analytics. I'm tell you what, this time they seem to get it right. Now that's just in the SWAC. When I go and look at the MEAC was actually kind of 2 and 4. Actually, they got one exactly right in the MEAC, and the other one was off by about a game. But the MEAC completely wrong, completely off in all kinds of directions. Too high. Some teams were too high. Some teams were too low.
Yeah.
And then among the independent teams, the Hampton, North Carolina A&T, and Tennessee, all wrong. All 3 were off. So I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what you parse out of that, but we'll try to get something out of it while we can. But let's take a look at the real quick, Charles. Before we get into talking, obviously I think the lead story is obviously the big win by Virginia Union. But since I got you here, and I hate to do this to you because I know you're a Gramblinite, but the Southern Jaguars took their, let me see if I get this right, 3rd consecutive, 6th in the last 7 Bayou Classic victory over Grambling, and Terrence Graves. The only time that Southern lost was to current head coach, who also has a win as an interim coach and an interim coach for the other school. The only man to win the Bayou at 2 different schools, Terrence Graves. I mean, is he slowly becoming the king of the Bayou? I mean, with all respect to like Eddie Robinson and all the other great. Let me see. Eddie Robinson, they had Bayous and Pete Richardson. All respect to those gentlemen. Terrence Graves is carving out a name for himself as the king of the Bayou Classic in the new millennium, Charles. Let's see. Southern gets a 24-14 win. What was your take on this game from Saturday afternoon?
Well, first of all, hats off to Terrence Graves. Terrence Graves is in rarefied air. He is the only coach, as you mentioned, to win the Bayou Classic from both sidelines. And I think he'll be the only one to ever do it. I don't think anyone else is gonna do that. So let's put him in another stratosphere. That's not gonna happen again, I don't think, in my lifetime or anybody's lifetime. He's blessed to be on both sidelines. Congratulations to Southern University winning the Western Division. Congratulations to Southern University winning the Bayou Classic. I'm not surprised. Southern is the better team. I thought defensively, Southern University was going to win this game. And yeah, Grambling had some plays, but Grambling struggled throwing the football, which has been a problem for them all year. At Media Day, we go back to Media Day again. Miles Crowley was the guy that everybody was talking about. Miles Crowley, and Tyler Macon of Alcorn. Those are the two names at the quarterback position, and Andrew Bonney. Those are the three QB names we talked about at Media Day. Yep. Well, how did that play out? Well, Tyler Macon started a few games and then was converted into a running back, a slot receiver. Unfortunately, Andrew Bonney got hurt. And then Miles Crowley struggled. And so Grambling couldn't throw the football. It's been a struggle for them all year. Southern University was able to ground and pound and run the football. Too many penalties for Grambling. I think 15 penalties. So I'm not surprised. Grambling had very little offense. Southern ground and pound. And I'm not surprised at the game. I think Southern University is loaded for bear for the SWAC championship. I think it's going to come down to defense, and Southern's defense is pretty doggone good. I think it's sneaky good. I don't think people realize how Southern's defense is really stepped up. So I'm not surprised. I thought it would be somewhere like maybe 26-17, something like that. But look, Southern University got it done, and now they're on to the championship.
Right. The Jaguars defense held the Tigers to 49 yards rushing. Jaguar quarterback completed passes to 8 different receivers for 188 yards and a touchdown. Chandler Whitfield closed out his last Bayou Classic of the game as the game MVP. Let's see his statistics. One season high 146 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. I'm surprised they didn't go back to Kendrick Grimes, who Kendrick apparently was the MVP last year. All he did was rush for 110 yards and a 45-yard touchdown. So, I mean, you got to imagine his name was being tossed around. I don't know how many repeat Bayou Classic MVPs there have been, Charles, but I got to imagine there were some voters who probably had his name on that list. Southern picked up 14 first downs to Grambling State's 9. Southern finished with 188 passing yards, holding Grambling State to 99. A total of 246 rushing yards to Grambling's 46. I mean, putrid offensive performance. And they were still in the ball game going into the fourth quarter. That's the crazy part, right? Okay, yeah.
You got to give Jason Rollins, first-year defensive coordinator. Now you talk about former coaches, right? Southern University, or Grambling, has 2 former Southern coaches that was a part of that staff. Eric Dooley, who was Southern's coach. Jason Rollins was the former interim head coach at Southern University. So how intriguing was that? You got Graves winning on both sidelines. You got a former Jaguar coach as the OC, and then you got another former Jaguar coach in Rollins as the defensive coordinator. Just a lot of funny storylines, going into that one. But Grambling defense, obviously, they did what they could to keep the Tigers in it. But offensively, it was just offensive. So, Mickey Joseph said there's going to be some changes. Don't know what that's going to look like. He said it mid-season. I mean, I think the Alcorn game, in which they lost at home to Alcorn, was kind of the final nail in the coffin for them. And so Mickey Joseph's got to take a look at some things and make some adjustments, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But you're not going to win games throwing the football or rushing for 49 yards, whatever the case. It's just not going to happen. Not in football, not in today's football.
I guess, and I'm going to save this for another show. I'm going to put a pin on this. I need to make a note for myself. First evaluation of first-year head coaches. Mm-hmm. We've seen already. Well, let me make sure I say this right. Who were the 2 coaches let go? Well, 3-year coach. Yeah, coaches 3 and 4. They've been around for a minute, but there's a lot of speculation and rumors. We've seen coaches with fewer time than 3 and 4 years be let go. And in this marketplace, the lack of patience is gone. So, we'll have to. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna put a pin on that, Charles, and kind of look at what the performance of first-year coaches, and then really, Charles, we have to ask: was the expectations realistic? I know what we as fan bases want. But it is hard in your first year. And maybe one of those questions to kind of look at and analyze and say why it ended up the way it did. For example, I can look at Florida A&M and ask why the first year was the way it was for Coach James Cozen. 7-5. You beat your rival, you won your homecoming, but you lost to 3 teams in the SWAC, and you lost that home streak.
Yeah.
Good. When you look at other first-year coaches, Alcorn, first-year head coach, there's an interesting evaluation there. So I think we've got at least look, we got at least 4 new coaches in the SWAC: Texas Southern,
Alcorn,
FAMU,
Grambling.
We can count Southern, can't we? Yeah, we can count Southern. So at least 5.
Yeah.
So 5 head coaches. One of them got his team into the SWAC championship game. Mm-hmm. I think there's a real good conversation to have going into next week, maybe. I'll tell you what. And the reason why you want to have that conversation is because one of the teams in the Celebration Bowl has a first-year head coach. Well, I guess first year at that school. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe that's also the catalyst? First ever versus first year at the school. I don't know how we separate and parse that. So I mean, that's something to look at.
I think it's disappointment versus okay. You know, I think when you look at our situation, fans love Cedric Thomas being named head coach. It was a disappointing season at 6-6, but it was a truly disappointing ending to the 6-6 season, which was the Jackson State loss. I was talking with somebody yesterday, Brian. They're still angry. The game is 8 days old now. We should be moving on. But Braves fans aren't going to move on from that loss to Jackson State. Not just a loss, but just in the fact that there was a picture postcard of a day. Beautiful day for football, packed house at Spinks, and yet nothing in terms of just the way the game turned out. Just didn't come out ready to play. Some people felt like coming through the tunnel, you felt like the body language wasn't there. So there are people that are still genuinely disappointed and some angry because the Alcorn-Jackson rivalry, probably like Bethune and Florida A&M, it drives that kind of emotion. So 6-6, okay, but the way it ended at 6-6, that's what's got people very disappointed. I didn't have a lot of great expectation for Mickey Joseph coming in, even though they made the change fairly quickly and Mickey Joseph was hired fairly quickly. I didn't expect things to kind of fall in place. I think I fell in love with the Crowley dynamic, thinking that, and we saw good things from Crowley before, and we thought that Mickey Joseph and Dooley matching up, that dynamic would work. It didn't work. So I think the level of disappointment, then you lose the Bayou Classic, you lose the Alcorn at home, you blow a lead against Alabama A&M. And so I think Grambling fans, including me, a little bit, disappointing. I go with the incumbents. Colsey coming in, that whole process of hiring a coach, you come back around to Colsey. And, I had Florida A&M in my ballot winning the East, and they were right there. I mean, they lost to Jackson. They could have kept themselves in the conversation, but then they lose to Prairie View. And that was it. And then you lose to Valley. Congratulations to Valley. They're slowly trickling up. But that was one that no one expected. So it's a disappointing season. I wouldn't say it's a disappointing end of the season because you won your last game, a tough game, Thanksgiving week. It's hard to get these players up for a game like that, especially during this time. So, there's some disappointment, but I think it's okay, well, it's year one. Let's see what year two brings for some of these coaches.
Yeah. My guy EA asking me if I thought Coach Colsey's first year was adequate for you. Adequate's an interesting word. I don't know. Was it below expectation? Sure. I mean, I actually thought FAMU would finish over the 8.5 win total, that we had set. I mean, and I was factoring in a potential loss on the road, possibly to Jackson State. I was just being honest with myself. I would have never in my wildest dreams have thought losing to Valley at home. Of course, I would have never, and going on the road and losing to, it's just something that you hadn't seen yet. But I will say, Charles, even though I didn't see it at the beginning of the season, as the season played out, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. But like this, Charles, I didn't bet on those games, and that tells you anything. So I couldn't stomach it because seeing how inconsistent we had been. But I have to learn. What I'm learning, Charles, in this space is I have to hold people to the same standards, and I think in the same respect that I held Jackson State to a particular question mark 2 years ago when they lost everybody, new coach coming in, and one thing I said, I remember us being there. I said, when people like Charles Bishop was very optimistic, I kept saying, why are y'all so optimistic when TC Taylor's he lost everything, lost everybody,
50 players and 6 coaches.
Yeah, where does that happen? I was wrong for not holding that same thought to Colsey, even though it maybe wasn't exactly the same amount, but still new coaches, new coordinators, 30-something new FBS players, new quarterback even, so it's just one of those things that I have to sometimes, gotta learn. I take off my fan hat sometime, and sometimes I'd be a little more critical, and that way I can be surprised at the end of the day instead of disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, FAMU was right there until what? You lost Richardson and you're running back in the Prairie View game. I think that hurts when you're on the road. And I thought Prairie View was done. I mean, Prairie View was done the first month of the season. When you lose 3 games in the division, they were done going in October. And I think after that point, I think a decision was probably made privately to move on from Coach McDowell's contract was up, and they just decided not to renew it. And so I thought maybe Prairie View would just try to play out the string, and I thought FAMU would go to PVU and get it done, but they had a couple of key injuries and they couldn't get it done. And so that was disappointing. But then the loss to Valley, that stings. That stings greatly. You end on one of the longest FCS winning streaks in the country. And so that's tough. I thought it was a little bit below expectations, especially at the end of the year. I thought FAMU would be right there in the midst of it. It's going to be tough to win at Jackson. And even with that, FAMU was in the game in the second half. But, it's going to be tough to win there. But, you found a way to hang tough. So I FAMU kind of is where I expected them to be, getting over the loss to Jackson. But then, when you turn around and you lose to Prairie View and then you lose to Valley, kind of a sour way to end the season. So it's probably, for a lot of FAMU fans, my guess now, it's probably disappointing. And Colsey, I think he relinquished the play calling or changed his coordinators and changed that whole dynamic. He's going to have to look at that because I don't think he can have another sour season like he had this year. Just like us, we can't afford to have another bad season. This is probably the most important off season for Alcorn football in a long time. We can't afford to have what happened happen again, with players transferring, one of our quarterbacks in the portal and all that. So maybe more to come. We don't know, but it's an important year for Braves football. It's an important year for FAMU football as well, as you're trying to stay near the top of the conference and the conversation. Bethune might be getting better. Valley's inching up a little bit. I think Alabama State will be right there again. So this is an important off season for some of the top dogs in the league that didn't get there.
Yes, it is. All right. We're going to take our first break. Coming up on the side, we're going to talk about some teams that were in the playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, playoffs. I said it. We got 1 win, 2 losses from our Division II and FCS teams that participated in the playoffs on Saturday. So we'll talk about those games. And I'll show Charles, I did a nice little graphic regarding the SWAC championship breakdown, the championship game. So I want to be able to show that to Charles here while I got it. So hang tight with us. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Charles and I will be back in just a moment.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Events Band of the Year, a title reserved for the absolute best in the world of HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 13th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be adjudicated by expert judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for ranking updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Brian Fulford, Charles Edmond here. Coming up in hour number 2, A.D. Drew will be back. I believe Coach Farasi Norman will join us in hour 2. I was just checking real quick to see, Charles, if any updates or news have been released on the NCAA Division I women's volleyball bracket, which is being released today. Matter of fact, it was started at 6 o'clock. So some of you guys in the chat room, I'm looking at a bracket now, hadn't been filled in from the NCAA site. So if you guys are watching or have any updates, I know Florida A&M and Delaware State, I believe Delaware State, who won the MEAC, and FAMU, who won the SWAC, are the 2 teams up for placement. Not really sure where they'll go. Also, Lawrence drops in some basketball. It is basketball season, Charles, for me. December 1, basketball season. So South Carolina State down 1 to Xavier happening right now. I'm assuming that's the women, especially if it's a Sunday. I don't know, Lawrence, you can tell us if that's the women or not. But there was a couple of games. Let me see. The Southern men, I believe, won.
Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, they won Louisiana Tech. That's the men who won that game. I saw Hampton's women go to Athens, Georgia today and get a win. It's an interesting, you almost get a full month of basketball, Charles, but you don't really get a chance to really focus in on it and talk about it probably as much because there's still so much football going on. So shout out to those people who do, especially on the women's side. I know my girl Liv for Hoops. She does a great job of trying to spotlight and cover women's basketball. And it's funny, Charles, I was talking to Brian Howard, the SID at Alabama A&M, and he was talking about how hectic it was for them because they actually had home games, which, first off, if your HBCU is having home games in November, props to you first off. But man, I feel for the athletic department, especially the SIDs, because football is a beast in itself, but you got also volleyball, and then we've got home basketball games, and it's like, oh my God. So he was going through it. I think he said there was a week where he had like a men's game, a women's game, and then had to deal with football home games. So I mean, it's talk about challenging. To say the least.
Where you forgot about the radio people too.
I'm sorry, yeah. I'm sorry.
You forgot about that, Brian.
Yes, I'm sorry. You were one of the
many nights, doing a all-corn game on a Saturday, hitting the road, going to Starkville, Mississippi. I did a couple weeks ago. We played Texas Southern on a Saturday in football. Sunday afternoon at 2:00, Lady Braves basketball at Mississippi State. Monday, me and at Tulane. How about that? 3 games in 3 days. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of logistics and planning that goes into it. That stuff's worked on way back in the summer, but this is that time of year where everything crosses over. So, kudos to the radio guys, kudos to the athletic media relations office, and for Alabama A&M to get that many home games. I think they had a little tournament. If I'm not mistaken, a little 14 tournaments. That's kudos for them as well. They got a great arena to show it off.
Exactly.
Event center.
Yeah, I wish. Let me not start something, but man, I wish. That's all I can. I'm gonna stop right there. But yes, props to Alabama State. Alcorn State. You and everybody there who helps help you get to where you need to get to. I wish all of our HBCUs were more engaged with having somebody to want to travel or helping them find ways to travel to games so that people can find out about basketball season during the first month and not in the second and third month.
Yeah, that's my biggest gripe. I don't have many gripes, but that's my biggest gripe. We start talking about basketball, and I'm gonna be honest, we don't really get deep into basketball till after the Super Bowl. Once the Super Bowl's over, then we start figuring out what do we do next. Well, SWAC basketball is going on, but by that time, we're a month away from the end of the regular season, and people try to figure out what has happened, who's leading, who's doing what, who's not doing what. It's too late. I mean, people have a right to follow whenever they want to follow it, but you got to follow it all along the way because it helps the conversation. That's my goal, to at least have the conversation, know about these teams, know about what's going on in the SWAC all the way through.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned playoffs took place. The Division II playoffs moved into the round of 16 second round games. In the Division II, we had two teams in the South region. We had Virginia Union traveling to Hickory, North Carolina to take on Lenoir-Rhyne. We had Miles College traveling to Valdosta, Georgia to take on the 1 seed Valdosta State Blazers, the 1 seed in the region, and I think maybe like number 1 in the country in one of the polls, anything like that. But I'll start with the winners. The winners on Saturday, props to Virginia Union, going to Lenoir-Rhyne, walked into their trap and just took all they candy, took all of it. The 44-12 beating of Lenoir-Rhyne, in which by now you should know who that young man is. None other than Jada Byers. And his name is Jada Byers. Again, Charles, for broadcast professionals to not be able to get his name correct. And Charles, I'm sure you've come across much harder names than Jada Byers. But anyways, shame. That's all I'm going to say. But he, of course, a Harlan Hill finalist, which is the Harlan Hill is like the Heisman for Division II football. Byers rushed for 185 yards, scored twice as Virginia Union continued its record-setting season, defeating Lenoir-Rhyne 44-12 on Saturday. The Panthers are off to the regional quarterfinals for the first time in school history. They also had another 100-yard rusher, Curtis Allen. He ran for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. It marked the first time Virginia Union had 2 players rush for 100 or more yards in a single game since they did it against Shawan back in 2021. Union's quarterback, R.J. Rosales, completed 10 of 17 for 179 yards and a touchdown, including a very pretty, let me find it here. It was a 74-yard touchdown connection in the second quarter to Reginald Vick Jr., 74-yard touchdown. So this was a game again. Virginia Union scored first, Charles, to go up 7-0 in the first quarter. Lenoir-Rhyne would answer in the second quarter, early in the second quarter, but they missed the PAT. Missed the PAT. This isn't like the NFL. The PATs are still 5 yards away from the goal line. So really it's like a 12 to 15-yard field goal, but he missed it. So 7-6 lead, and then Virginia Union would score 2 more times in the second quarter to go up 20-6 at the half, score in the third quarter 27-6, and score one more time at the start of the fourth quarter to go up 30-6 and never look back. They gave up one other touchdown to Lenoir-Rhyne, but that was it as they capped it off with 2 more touchdowns to go up 44-12. Union put up 524 yards of total offense, holding Lenoir-Rhyne to 306. Pretty dominating performance, to say the least. Anybody who listened to that ball game, I'm sure because it was a Lenoir-Rhyne broadcast group, you probably got a kick out of listening to their bewilderment as to how in the heck how was their team getting throttled the way they were? But B, they also gave props to the CIAA, talking about how did the CIAA only get one team in, which many of us in this space also asked. So yeah, pretty dominant performance. Virginia Union moves to 10-3 on the season, and I'll tell you who their next opponent is in just a second. Charles, any comments there you want to make regarding the Panthers?
Well, you know what? We talked about, the players of the year. The last time I was on, didn't we have player of the year candidates? And that back from Virginia Union, his name was all over the place. And I think you could make a even better case getting it done in the postseason when it matters. So congratulations to Virginia Union. They're just getting it done.
Yeah. And I know guys like Lennon Blow, they are salivating. He was very excited that Dawson Odoms is no longer at Norfolk State. And I know, just unofficially speaking, Charles, I bet you every Norfolk State fan is just salivating, hoping that they can drum up enough interest and money and go after Dr. Alvin Parker at Virginia Union. But again, remember, folks, he's a Union Panther guy. I mean, so it's going to be hard to get him away from there, Norfolk State. Just telling y'all.
I was actually surprised that Norfolk. I mean, based on what the little scuttlebutt I was getting, the amount of money that they're in, and how many years left that they have on this contract, whatever the case, I was surprised that it happened when it happened. I thought
Dawson Odoms being let go. He only has a year. I believe he only has a year left, though.
Well, but still, that's a year you gotta write the check for.
Something. Yeah,
you hear scuttlebutt, and again, I don't know this, but you heard about some financial issues there. So can you afford to do it? Obviously, they can afford to do it because they did it. So, I mean, I was kind of surprised, but I also was told Dawson Odoms would like to come back to the SWAC in some capacity, but that's tough. That's just something I've heard. This little scuttlebutt. This has probably been a year I heard about this a year ago, that he would like, another opportunity to get back in the SWAC. Whether that happens, I don't know, but just a little scuttlebutt that I was hearing about it. But it's unfortunate that he was let go when he did. I know for Norfolk fans, they're happy, but I was kind of surprised as someone on the outside looking in.
Well, the other D2 game, which the winner of Virginia Union will go on to take on Valdosta State in the regional finals, as they defeated Miles 33-17. Miles' historic season comes to an end for Coach Sam Shade, as Miles really never really threatened in this ball game. They were down 6-0. They were down 6-3 in the first quarter, and then later gave up another touchdown. By halftime, they were down 16-3. At the end of the third quarter, down 30-3. Almost the opposite of what it was. Almost like as both games started at 1. As you're watching what Union is doing to Lenoir-Rhyne, I'm flipping over and I'm seeing Valdosta State almost doing the same thing in terms of score to Miles. In terms of total yards, Miles was held to 307 total yards, while Valdosta State was able to put up 408 yards. A pretty balanced attack from Valdosta State in the ball game, but they really just kind of wore Miles down. Miles was able to score a couple of fourth quarter touchdowns to make the score a little closer, but by the end of the third quarter, that game was kind of out of reach, and so the season comes to an end for Miles, and let the speculation begin. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. Let's just say at the end of it's been a heck of a 3 years for Sam Shade, as he basically took a program after Reginald Ruffin had left, built it up, left, and a mass exodus of players hit the portal, coaches left the portal. Sam Shade comes in, has a 1-9 season, and he basically has to almost start from scratch, and he did it quickly. Year 2, very great, very good year coming out of the year 1, and then of course this year with an unbeaten SIAC record, and really showed that he can build a program. And I think the You probably hear the same things I hear, Charles. There's a lot of conjecture and talk about Sam Shade's future at Miles. And I mean, we'll just leave it at that and wait to see what happens. But we'll just leave it at that. So any thoughts you want to add there about Miles there at the end of their game against Valdosta?
I mean, Miles has always, in my opinion, has had a pretty solid football program. The last couple of years, they've been pretty good. And the one thing about it, an AD once told me, when you run a good program, people gonna come after your coaches. And so that's definitely the case. Just like you, I've heard his name mentioned, and even though I'm not in that space like you are and others, I've heard his name mentioned from all the way here in Mississippi. So we'll see what that brings.
Yeah. The third team that had a playoff game was over in the FCS level as Tennessee State nightcap, a 10:15 Eastern kickoff, 9:15 for you folks in the Central. It was an 8:15 kickoff in Mountain Time as they played Montana. And this was an interesting game. And I tweeted this out. I'll summarize by saying this. As I've watched FCS HBCU teams in playoffs, it's almost like that first year is almost a wake-up call. It's like you don't really know what it's like. You don't because you're not playing some of these random FCS teams. You're not in it every year because everybody in the SWAC or MEAC, your goal is to get to the Celebration Bowl, right? Or in the SWAC is to get to the championship game. So you're rarely playing in these FCS playoff games. But when you get there, you really have to have a complete team. And the one thing that hurt Tennessee State, special teams. It won the game for Montana because they had 2 punt returns for a touchdown. And I think they kicked about 4 field goals very early in the ball game. So, when Tennessee State would get stops, at least Tennessee State kept them out of the end zone, so they kind of stayed alive. But those field goals add up, and Tennessee State's inability to actually score touchdowns until Tennessee State didn't score their first touchdown until very late in the third quarter with about a minute and 2 left, and they were already down 27-6 at that point. And then at that point, Tennessee State it's like a shot in the arm. All of a sudden, Tennessee State gets in the ball game a little bit in the fourth quarter where they cut it to 7. They cut it to 7 with about 3 minutes to play, cut it to 7, 34-27. And that ugly special teams unit, which had been just ugly all game for them, gave up the second punt return touchdown to the young man from Montana, who I think I heard on the post-game presser, he is now the career punt return touchdown guy in FCS. Might even be the NCAA, or at least he's tied for the most in his career. But anyway, you can't give up 2 punt return touchdowns, Charles, and expect to win a playoff game.
No, you can't. And congratulations to Tennessee State, and congratulations for making a run at it. Usually when it's that lopsided, they probably put up 50. And we've seen that with playoff games. The last one, obviously, Florida A&M was in the playoffs when they played Southeast Louisiana. So hats off to Tennessee State, for a job well done and making it a game. But like Eddie George said, you can't have that happen. 2 special teams blunders for touchdowns. That was the difference in the game. But I credit Tennessee State for making a game of it. It's probably the closest that we've been HBCU in the playoffs in quite some time. To only lose it by that small of a deficit, I think it continues to show that Eddie George has got something going there in Nashville.
Yeah, year number 4 for George. And I remember I saw somebody tweet a post saying that Tennessee State's rise, like George has really, he said he was coming in looking to rebuild that program and get them going into the direction of where they're at. He's rebuilt that program. I think, yes. And he slowly did it. He was given time. Now, the big question is, you're going to ask yourself, his future. I told you made some very interesting comments on Saturday on Carlos Brown's show, which I failed to give you your props as a co-host, as a part of the panel on the Carlos Brown show every Saturday. So I apologize for that. But you had some thoughts about Eddie George, and I'd like for, I was shocked when I heard it, because I just want you to sort of explain your thoughts on why you think Eddie George is somebody that Prairie View might be interested or would be a good fit. Better way of saying it, would be a good fit for Prairie View.
Well, first of all, I think he's done an outstanding job at Tennessee State. I think he's probably close to, if not at the ceiling at Tennessee State. Co-coach of the year in the conference, gone to the FCS playoffs. From a financial perspective, we know that there's no financial incentive for going to the FCS playoffs. Hats off to them for what they did against Montana. But now what's the next step in that development? And I look at Prairie View's opening. They let Bubba McDowell go. And I saw something on X about the expectations for the next football coach. What's the job description? Well, being in the SWAC championship, playing for a SWAC championship and FCS playoffs. What has Eddie George done? Co-coach of the year in the OVC, took his team to the playoffs. We can go to the playoffs, talking about a SWAC representative. FAMU was the last one to do it. And I just think that if you look at where Prairie View is right now, and if you look at Eddie George coming in there, all the facilities, got everything you want, you go there, and I think you can slowly build that thing up brick by brick with a new AD, new president. And I think Eddie George could have Prairie View right there. Now, from a financial perspective, how much he's making in salary, that's a whole nother story. But if you want a coach, and even though he might be a little pricey, I think if that's a coach you want, you find a way to make it happen. I just think Eddie George's personality, he doesn't come with all the flash and splash like other coaches have tried to do and have done. And I think he'll quietly build that program to where it needs to be brick by brick. And I think for that, I think Eddie George, to me, Charles Edmonds' opinion, he just, from a personality standpoint, just seems like a good fit for Prairie View to me. It just adds up to me. I don't know. I mean, I might be crazy, but if I were AD Golf in that administration, I'd kick the tires on Eddie George to see if he's interested. He might not be. He may be very comfortable in Nashville. He's got all the ties there, played for the Titans. He may not be ready to go. But I think if you're Prairie View, and probably AD Golf has his list of candidates, his 3 names or 4. He already probably knows who he wants. But I would at least think about Eddie George coming over there and making it happen. Just think from a financial standpoint. You win the West, you get a chance to host the SWAC championship game, you get all the proceeds from that. You win that, you go to Atlanta, and then you get $1 million payout. I think it makes sense to me. That's just me. But it just came out of left field, like Eddie George. Why not?
Yeah,
what more has he done what more can he do at Tennessee State? What more can he do?
Oh, there's a lot more that can be done at Tennessee State.
Like what?
One, you can get some people to your home games. Damn it.
Well, I don't know if that's. I didn't know if that was an issue. You're playing in an NFL stadium. You're playing in a 65,000 seat stadium.
Oh, people don't care about that, Charles. Look,
I understand. I get it, but I just
disconnect.
I don't know if there's anything more he can do. You go to the playoffs again. Again, there's no financial incentive. You win it next year. You go back to Montana or you go to Eastern Washington or wherever. All right. I think he's done probably all that he can do. The next step, come to the SWAC. Prairie View's got an opening. It just seems like it's just the right combination to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just.
I love you, Charles.
I'm just saying. He's low key. He's low key. He's going to be. And Prairie View is a good football program already. Top 4, top 5. So it's not like you're taking over a bottom feeder program where you got to elevate it a lot. Prairie View's top 5 football right now, even with everything that's going on. So you get Eddie George in there, he'll put a stamp on it. And I think in a couple of years, he'll be right there. And I think that, and he's not a flashy coach. He's not going to attract a lot of attention. He's just going to go to work every day and build that program. I think it fits. Now, the financials might not fit. I understand he's making over $400,000 at Tennessee State. Is Prairie View, willing to open the vault a little bit? I don't know. You throw a bunch of incentives in there to make it worth his while. And again, he may not be interested, but I'd sure kick the tires on it to see if he is.
Here's what I'm fascinated by, Charles. One, I think Eddie George he's a Nashville person. And I think that's how he became interested in this job, first and foremost. And now, I think Eddie George will probably tell you he had two goals. And if he was realistic, even after year one, he probably realized, I got to get us winning. I got to rebuild the program and get us winning. That's first. Before we can do anything else, we got to win. People won't come out. I don't care what you say. People won't come out for a team that's not winning. Winning cures a lot. Now he has gotten the team to a winning level. Now, and what I would really love to hear and know is sometimes we hear him be very critical about the fans, not and alums coming. I think this spring, this summer, Eddie George has to go on tour amongst the TSU alumni base, wherever they are. And he's got to figure out. And if I'm the athletic administration of Tennessee State, I'm maybe sending Eddie George out there to go talk to him. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in the weeds. I don't know the culture. My sister is a TSU grad, but I ain't gonna sit here and tell you like she's a diehard football girl. At least as it relates to TSU sports. I just know that there is a disconnect. And here's what I always hear. The fans want the game at Hale Stadium. They don't want to go to Nissan. They can't tailgate at Nissan. The students don't get bus trips over to. Somehow they got to find a way to connect and merge. If Eddie George wants to really build this thing into something bigger and greater, somebody has to start communicating. I don't know if it's town hall meetings or something. There's got to be some connections happening in which we try to figure out what can we do to make this location, if that's what you're going to use, and you're not going to use Hale, you got to be able to somehow explain it so people can understand, or meet people halfway. I don't know. Have homecoming at Hale, and I don't know. But Charles, I think that is his next hurdle. I think in trying to build this program to the next level, and if he can do that. If he can be that go-between and be that and I don't know, should he be? You don't like. I've heard football coaches say, "You pay me to win ball games. You don't pay me to go out into the community and do all and be your sales pitch man." But hey, you are the face of Tennessee State athletics right now. Yeah. You are a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Yeah. If you can't do it, I don't know who can. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, a part of that is correct. Yes, he can, and I think all of our coaches should do more to reach out to our constituents and talk to the alumni more. We do, but it's got to be a continuous. I know during football it's hard to do, but during the off season you can. So that's something he can control, and that's something he can do. The other part of it, you talk about facilities, that he has nothing to do with that. If you're going to expand or improve the facility where you're playing, just like Texas Southern. Texas Southern plays one game in their on-campus stadium, and that's homecoming. Texas Southern plays at a soccer stadium. Now, is there, and I'm sure Coach Dishman might, somewhere down the road, might say, hey, what can we do to improve what we got? But, I think at Texas Southern's a whole different dynamic there. But I think that part of it, Eddie George can't do anything about. All he can do is express that, and you got to expand that stadium. It's going to cost money, resources, probably not going to happen. You're playing in a 60,000 seat stadium. Yeah. But what is your other alternative? I don't know, but I think one part of it he can control, but the other part of it, I don't think he can. He can express his concerns to the AD and the president and look at their facility and try to improve that. It's going to take a ton of money. And from what you're reading, Tennessee State might have some financial issues, in which that's probably way down the line if it's going to happen at all. So again, I just think it just comes back to Eddie George has done about as much as he can possibly do. Fans are going to either get excited or they're not. And if they don't, they don't. There's nothing you can do other than win your games, win your championships, go to the playoffs, and hope your fans support. But in the SWAC, it's a whole different ball game. You got a lot of interest, a lot of excitement at Prairie View. Your big rival, Texas Southern. You win that game, folks are on the train. You win the West, people on the train. You go to Atlanta, people on the train. You make money for a home championship game, maybe. You go to Atlanta, you're going to make money. And so I think from that perspective, Eddie George wouldn't have much to worry about because you got an AD and president in golf that's going to try to improve. And he's got the facilities already. Look at Panther Stadium. Terrific facility. Coach's office is overseeing the stadium. So to me, it's just me, and it's probably not even close, but just Charles Edmond as a sports fan, I would kick the tires on it and see if he's interested. If he's not, if he's happy in Nashville, he's got a wife, got a family, they're not going anywhere if they don't want to go anywhere. But I would at least see if he's, interested.
All right. Fascinating. I'm telling you, this is, unfortunately, we get I wish we would, we do talk about Tennessee State. I'm gonna echo what Dr. Cavill said this morning. We do talk about Tennessee State as well as other independents, non-SWAC and MEAC schools, specifically on Wednesday nights on Dr. Cavill's show hosted by David L. Rhodes. And so, you hear some of this great conversation regarding Tennessee State on that show. So, guys, make sure to check out Wednesdays at 7 Eastern right here on the Black College Sports Network. Let me bring this up, Charles, because I don't, before we wrap up the first hour with you as we kind of move into hour two, I mentioned SWAC championship game is coming up on Saturday. We know the combatants. We know it's Southern. We know it's Jackson State in a bit of a rematch from their Week 3 contest, in which was also at Jackson State, which is the host of the SWAC championship game. Jackson State won that game 33-15. Here's some interesting statistics as both teams come into Saturday's game. When you look at points per game, Jackson State averaging 36.8, nearly 37 points a game to Southern's 21.6. And those are numbers within the conference overall over 12 games. Both teams have the second and third best defenses in terms of points allowed. Jackson State allowing 18.3, Southern 21.8. In terms of total offensive yards per game, Jackson State 406, which is surprisingly number 2, and Southern 368.3, which is number 4. Defensively, Jackson State's defense allowing the second fewest yards per game, nearly 278 per game, which is number 2, and right behind them is Southern 293.3. I think those are two of the only. I think there are only 3 schools that are allowing fewer than 300. So I think don't quote me on that. I didn't look at number 4 to be honest with you. The one stat that's a little bit different for these outside of the points per game is the turnover margin. Turnover margin this season, Jackson State is +1 on the turnover margin, while Southern is -7 with more turnovers than what they've been able to take away. So, Charles, when you go back and look at the tail of the tape, there you got it. How do you handicap this game? Again, the last time, 33-15 was the score back in Week 3, and we've had nearly 4 months of football since. 12 weeks. I guess that's 3 months of football since. It's been 3 months since those two teams have met. What's your take on this game? 2:00 Eastern, 1 Central Time in Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Well, Southern's going to have to protect the football, number 1. Jackson State can score. Now, I'm sure if I'm Terrence Graves, I'm pulling out that Alabama State tape because they held Jackson State to less than half their average of 16 points. So I'm pulling out that tape and taking a look at it. Southern University is going to have to get a manageable quarterback deal on Saturday. if you look at their quarterback, you look at Woods, you look at T-Set, you look at Bowden, it's a big spotlight for them. They're going to have to, Southern's going to have to run the football. That's what they've been doing. That's what's got them to the championship, and they're going to have to continue that. Now, Jackson State defensively, and look, we had an 82-yard run against Jackson State a couple of weeks ago. So, if Jackson State springs a couple of leaks, Southern gets some big runs, and Southern's defense is going to have to step up. Their defense, number one, which has carried them all year, but they're going to have to get manageable quarterback play from 1, 2, or 3 quarterbacks if they want to win the game. If they don't, Jackson State's going to win the game. So that's how I look at it. You got the young quarterback, you got Bowden, who's a veteran, a Grambling transfer, but you got Woods and T-Set. They're going to have to find a way to manage the game. I think Southern's defense is outstanding. If they can slow the game down enough and they make enough plays in the running game and don't let the quarterback lose the game, I think Southern will be right there. And this is a battle-tested team. How many come from behind wins that Southern had this year in which they've been down in the fourth quarter? They take it in overtime and win it in overtime. 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Yeah. Southern has found a way, and they're going to have to do it again. This is going to be a really, really good matchup. And I think Southern, this is one of those games as a SWAC fan, a lot of folks might not give Southern a chance because they're playing in Jackson. It's going to be 60,000 people there, we hope. Jaguar Nation will be there in full throttle. And very few folks are giving Southern a chance. And to me, this is the type of game that Southern wins. When nobody other than the Jaguar Nation gives them a chance to win, those are the games that they show up and show out. So I think the quarterback play is going to be the key for Southern. If they can manage the game, run the football, take time off the clock, take their shots, they have a shot. But that turnover margin, if they lose the turnover margin, they're going to lose the game because Jackson is very explosive. Albeit, you got to pull out that Alabama State tape to see what Alabama State did to slow Jackson down. And if they slow him down enough, and the Southern's in the game in the fourth quarter, they got a shot because they've been doing it all year.
I know it's mostly, I was kind of looking here at the box score from that last time these teams played. Southern or Jackson State jumped on them early 10-0 in the first quarter, 23-3 by halftime. And really, the passing yards, Noah Bodden, 17-29, 352, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. But Bodden, he's not their QB right now. So
I think Brian, Southern University has more definition now in the quarterback position now than they did back then. I think you and I could have played quarterback for Southern University back in that first meeting because Coach Graves was trying to Coach Graves was trying to figure it out. It was Bowden at the start. He's had the experience, but then he struggled. He got hurt, and then you had to kind of figure it out. And I think Southern University has kind of found a little bit of a combination there, quarterback. I think all three might play Saturday if things go sideways, to be honest with you. I don't know the health of those guys. But I think Southern has been getting it done with 2 quarterbacks all year for the most part because their defense is really good. Southern's defense is good. And when defense carries, so Southern's defense shows up like they have been, and they found a little offense in that clinching game with UAPB. They scored, 32 points? If Southern scores 32 points against Jackson, they're going to win the football game because I think Southern's defense is just that good. It was really a surprise to me to see how good their defense is. They shut us out in the fourth quarter, the second half in our game. Southern's defense has been playing really well. If Southern can find some offense, run the football like they did in the Bayou Classic, like they've done all year, take time off the clock, keep that offense off the field, I think Southern has a really good shot to win the game. But their quarterback position can't hurt them, though. You can't have fumbles. You can't have bad interceptions. You can't have bad turnovers. You can't have that. Because Jackson State's just too good offensively, even though Alabama State slowed them down.
I'm trying to go back and look here. Alabama State, 16-10. So, the 2 best defenses I think that they played, Alabama State. I'm talking that Jackson State played. Alabama State and Florida A&M. Now, you can say what you want. If you didn't, if you look at the score of that Florida A&M game, and it was a 2-touchdown score, but that score was not indicative of that game. And so, yeah, I think, but Southern has to be in this game at halftime. That's the thing. You've got to be in this game by halftime. If you get down 2 touchdowns in the first half, 17 points, kiss it goodbye. I don't think you're catching Jackson State. I think they have some dynamic playmakers, and I think that that place will be rocking. That I don't know how you're gonna come back from that. But if Southern can stay around, if Southern can stay within a touchdown or heck, a tie game, maybe even have a 3-point lead. I'm not saying that'll happen, but if that's possible, then this is going to be an amazing second half. But I worry though, Charles, that it has the recipe to be a first half blowout. Like I could realistically see Jackson State being up like 21-3 at halftime, and go ahead and put me to sleep. And I'm watching like the Conference USA championship game over on some other network. I don't know, but that's my take. I don't know where I lie with that.
Well, the other thing too, Brian, about Jackson State, let's not discount their running game. Irv Mulligan is really, really good, and they've got backs by committee that can ground and pound and just take the life out of you. So let's not discount Jackson State's running game either.
Oh, no,
I was really surprised at how they were able to run the football against us in that last game of the year. But Irv Mulligan's the real deal, and I think what they'll do is they go up 21-3. They're just going to pound it down your throat and just force you into submission. That's what Jackson's going to try to do. They necessarily don't have to sling it all over the yard because they have a running game that can wear you out as well. So I agree with you. That's why I say Southern's defense. If it's 21-3 at halftime, I think it's a done deal. But I don't think it's going to be 21-3 at halftime. I would say 13-6 at halftime. If it's 13-6, Southern's right there. All they got to do is just continue to do. These two running attacks are pretty good, Southern and Jackson State. So this could be a quick game, ground and pound, maybe not a lot of big plays, but just like we talked about with Tennessee State, you get a leakage or two on special teams, that might make the difference in the game. And Southern and Jackson's got some playmakers on special teams as well. So there's a lot of good dynamics, but I think for Southern, I was looking at the Bayou Classic. I'm like, I was going to make my prediction based on Southern's offense. They scored 32 against UAPB. With the quarterbacks that they have, can they continue that continuity against Grambling? And I saw a little bit of that, but from a quarterback perspective, whether they play 1, 2, or 3, they can't afford to turn the football over. They just can't. And it's a big spotlight for all of them, for T-Set, for Woods, and Bowden. It's a big spotlight for them playing at Memorial. So I think the quarterback position is what I'm looking at. If Southern can get a manageable deal at the quarterback position, let their defense go to work, not turn the football over. You see the number, -7. They can't afford to be in the negative territory against Jackson and win the game. They've got to protect the football. If they do that, they have a shot. I just think Jackson's rolling right now. I mean, if I'm making a prediction right now, I'm going with Jackson State. I think Jackson's got it going. I mean, Jackson has overachieved in my book. What I'm expecting now, I was kind of expecting it next year. TC Taylor was looking at me at media day and saying, man, we have trying to replace 50 players and 6 new coaches. So with that, you're thinking, okay, 2025, the light bulb goes off. Nope, 2024, we're here. And so Jackson State's got it going, but Southern's in the way, and I think their defense is going to have to continue to do what they've been doing to have a shot.
Yeah, I was sitting here trying to look at the turnover situation from that first meeting, and I think outside of the 2 interceptions, I was trying to find it here. Yeah, Southern committed 2 interceptions. Jackson State played a clean game, no fumbles lost, and no interceptions. So yeah.
Southern gets 2. If those quarterbacks throw 2 picks, Southern is doomed. They just are. I mean, unless their defense can get them back, again, the quarterback position has to be manageable and has to protect the football. And there's going to be nerves now. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a tussle early on. It's going to be a lot of energy early, but when the game settles in, and it will eventually in the first quarter, how will it all unfold? And I just think Jackson's just got a lot more in the tank, but you can't discount Southern's defense. They find a way. Southern finds a way. I mean, just, 30 seconds left against Texas Southern. I go in the grocery store. I'm thinking, all right, Southern's lost to Texas Southern. I come out of the grocery store, put the groceries in the truck. It's overtime and Southern's won it. I'm like, wow, that's just the kind of season Southern has had. And if they can stay in the game, they're gonna find some shots out there.
All right. So your prediction, you're going with I hear you're going with Jackson State is what I'm hearing.
I'm going with Jackson State. Yeah, I think Jackson State's got it rolling. I think they've got enough offense. Their passing game is very good. Their running game is really good, and I think their defense is pretty respectable. I just think this is Jackson's year. But I will say Southern's going to give it everything they've got. Not a lot of people are giving them credit for this game. Not a lot of people are going to think they're going to win this game, and this is just the type of game that Southern rises up and plays the perfect game. But if I were to put some money on it, I'm gonna go with Jackson. Nothing against Carlos Brown. I love Carlos Brown, and I love the Jaguar Nation.
I'm waiting to hear what Carlos says.
Carlos probably got steam coming out of his ears right now. I'm going with Jackson. I think Jackson's got it going. I really do.
I looked at some predicted lines. Jackson is predicted somewhere about an 18-point favorite.
Wow.
In this one. I did pull this up from the last time these two teams met, and just kind of looking at it, Jackson was only a 9.5-point favorite, and they easily covered that game back in September 14th, in which the game, what I say the score was 33-15, went over to 42. So I saw some interesting. No numbers are out yet, but I'm seeing some data that's saying Jackson State should be about an 18-point favorite.
No way.
Well,
no way. I don't see
that.
Thing,
here's what I look at. I'm going 4-game winning streak for Southern. I'm gonna be very critical. Grambling, UAPB, Bethune, Alabama A&M. And that's after losing to FAMU 24-6. So if I'm just going off your last 5 games, the best team you played was Florida A&M. You didn't even score 7 points against that team. And now you got to go play Jackson State, who is the top team. I know why it's 18, and you're going to be at home. I don't know, Charles. It's not that I'm rooting for Southern. I don't want anybody to think I'm rooting for Southern, because I want Jackson State to get to this Celebration Bowl. I want to see Jackson State versus South Carolina State. I truly do. I truly do. I think that'd be a great matchup. I just think in order for Southern to win, like you said, no turnovers, and Jackson State's going to have to give a play or two to Southern. Somebody's going to – you can't have any special teams mistakes. It's going to take a play or two. It's going to take a play or two, and that's how you get it. See, look, I'm not rooting for Southern. Stop it. I'm not rooting for Southern. I'm not. I told you. I just told you how Southern's going to have to beat that. But look, Jackson, I want to see.
I'm just gonna say that I don't know if the people that do the lines look at the fact that Southern has found a little bit more productivity in the passing game and at the quarterback position. That was the issue, for most of the year. But then you look at the Alcorn game, take the FAMU game out of it. The offense wasn't there. But you look at UAPB, you look at Grambling. Southern's found something there as far as some offense. The running game's always been there. And I think for them to be an 18-point favorite, that's a bit of a stretch. Unless Southern doesn't get off the bus, I can't see it being an 18-point. I would probably, if I were to put a line out there, I would probably say 6 to 8 points, somewhere in there. A one-score game. all things being equal, the defense shows for Southern, keeps the score down. I could see anywhere from 6 to 10 points, but not 18. I can't see that. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll come back and say, hey, I was wrong. But I think Southern's defense is going to keep them in the game, and they just find just enough offense, like they've been doing all year for the most part, to find a way.
All right. Somebody said, folks said Alcorn would be close to. So there you go, Charles. See?
Yeah.
All right.
That is true. I absolutely said that. I did. And based on the data at the time, the information in real time, I thought it would be until it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wrong on that one. Yeah, brutally wrong. And I'm still hurting. I'm still hurt, Brian. 8 days later, I'm still hurt by it. You got a drink of water. I need something stronger than that 8 days later, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. Charles, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time tonight. Any final thoughts, any final words, anything you want to share with people as you check out for tonight?
Well, I'm just looking forward to a good SWAC championship game. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a big money maker for Jackson State. As for those who might not know, all the revenue generated goes with the home team. And so Jackson's going to make a good amount of money come Saturday at 2:00. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and let's see how it plays out. Looking forward to it, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you joining. And again, let's get all eyes on that SWAC championship game. I saw somebody ask me, did I think it would draw over, I don't know if that was 1.5 or 150,000 people, but hopefully we can get some really good numbers on this game. Saturday, 2:00 Eastern, 2:00 Eastern, 1 Central in Jackson. For some good weather. Hope we get a good,
I'm pulling up the weather now, Brian. I'm trying to see what the weather's looking like in Jackson Thursday.
Here we go. 150K is what Lawrence. I would hope we could get 150,000 from the TV ratings, Lawrence. I mean, I think 150 is low. You know, I would.
Well, as of right now, Brian, it's a 50-50 chance of rain on Saturday, high of 54. So bring your jackets, and let's hope the weather holds up. And as we know, and again, I'm hopeful for it because we've hosted 2 SWAC championship games, Brian, and the weather is great. I mean, we hosted Southern the first 2 years that the games were on campus. It was a great moneymaker for us. The weather was perfect. It was on the coolish side, no rain. But the forecast right now calls for a 50% chance of rain. And as we know, SWAC football fans and cold weather and rain don't mix. So let's hope the weather, holds up, for that one. But that's going to be a good one, either. And if it's a wet track, then running the football is going to be paramount for both teams.
All right. Make sure you follow Charles on social media if you're not already. At Tallman Radio is where you can find him. Make sure to check all of his coverage of Alcorn State. And every now and then, Charles, we do get his coaches shows, the coaches shows that he does with whether it be the football or basketball coaches at Alcorn. You can find those on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen to podcasts, right here on the Black College Sports Network. So, Charles, look forward to those next episodes that you'll be sending us. And as always, good luck this week traveling with Alcorn State, and have a great week.
I appreciate it, Brian. You take care. Go Colts.
Hey, I appreciate it. Let's take a break. Come back on the other side. A.D. Drew and Coach Farasi Norman will be joining us right on the other side. So stay tuned. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. and enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan, A.D, and Coach Farasi Norman. Drew, did you get my text message there?
No, I did not.
All right.
I'll look at. Oh, let me look.
All right, Coach, how you doing this afternoon, this evening?
I'm doing well. Kind of chilly in here, you know. My landlord or the guy I rent the house from ain't come turn the heat on for me, so I've been cold since the day before Thanksgiving. He tells me he was going out of town and he'd be over on Monday. So I said, okay, well, I just won't pay you this month.
Wow.
So it's going to be a situation come tomorrow when he decides to come over, you know, whenever I do pay him sometime this week. But I'm like, buddy, I've been chilly. That's why I got my hat on. So don't nobody think, oh, Coach trying to be hood. Them days is over with. I'm a coach, not gangster. But I'm just trying to stay a little warm in here, man. It's chilly in here.
Well,
what's up, A.D?
I understand.
What's going on, my brother?
Man, trying to make $1.15.
Yeah. So I was trying. I know Drew's just getting off the road and everything. So we were just I was talking with obviously Charles Edmond, of course. SWAC championship game is coming up. You know, obviously the end of the regular season, as we had the Turkey Day Classic come to an end with an Alabama State victory, big time over Tuskegee, and then we had Florida A&M's win over Alabama A&M. Then we had the Bayou Classic. Also, we had a pair of Division II football games as well as Tennessee State. Which games did you get a chance to watch, Coach? I know obviously with the Thanksgiving, it was kind of spread out. So you kind of started from the Turkey Day Classic, correct?
Yes, sir. I saw the Turkey Day Classic. I listened to on the radio. I listened to Miles and that also on my phone here. and then I saw the Bayou Classic. Those are the games I saw since last time we seen each other, which was last Sunday.
So I mean, we don't have to go too deep in the woods, but let's start kind of with the Turkey Day Classic. When you see it, I don't even know, Drew. I want to be respectful here of your other alma mater here, and just out of respect for this 100-year rivalry or this 100-year game. What do you take away when you have a game at the end of the season, Coach, where neither team is really playing for anything other than pride? Is pride enough at this point in the season, or are these teams kind of like they kind of say in the NBA, 1, 2, 3 Cancun? I mean, these are college kids, so ain't nobody going to Cancun, but these kids are like
1, 2, 3 finals.
They got finals week, but more importantly, you didn't get to go home for Mama's Thanksgiving dinner, and you had to go play in a football game. I mean, what's the motivation, Coach? When you looked at this game, the Turkey Day, what's the motivation?
The fact that you get to play on Thanksgiving, I remember growing up, you'd see the Cowboys and the Vikings, and the Cowboys and the Bears. So you get to say that you played on Thanksgiving. That's a big excitement there. Bragging rights. Those schools are only 40 miles away. I'm pretty sure they know each other. They probably grew up with somewhere playing little league or high school ball against each other. So when you see each other, you can always say on this particular day, Turkey Day, I beat you. And then the motivation of just saying to get to play a game called football. That's what we grew up loving to do. It's college day, it's game day, it's Turkey Day. They're going to feed you somehow, some way. You're going to get some turkey and dressing. So, I mean, that's motivation enough. And then, like I say, bragging rights is biggest thing. But let me say this real quickly. I was doing some homework the other day, and Eddie Robinson, he never lost one as a player, but he's gone 2-1 as a coach.
3-0.
He's never lost one. He's never lost. Okay.
Never lost.
Hold on. I say that to say this. Tuskegee still leads the series by 20 games. Now, they play that game every year, and they're still leading the series by 20 games. I'm like, Alabama State will never catch that. Alabama State will never catch that.
Can I break it down for you, Coach Norman?
Please do, my friend.
If you look at the series since 2010, though, Tuskegee's only won twice. So they're making a serious dent into that league.
20 games, brother?
They won in 2012 when they opened up the new ASU Stadium.
No, I hear what you're saying. You said they're making significant lead. I'm saying they're still up by 20 games.
With the game. Wait a minute. Now, see, you have to look at two different things. There's the Turkey Day Classic, which traditionally had Tuskegee and Alabama State. But these teams met before 1924, before the Turkey Day Classic. And then after 2012, from 2012 to 2017, they did not play each other. Then from 2017 to 2022, 23, they played on Labor Day. They had a 5-year contract to play on Labor Day. So all of those matchups that you're talking about are not Turkey Day games. That makes that over 100 times that these two teams have played each other. I'm gonna give y'all a useless fact. Did you know that the first integrated football game in the city of Montgomery was Turkey Day Classic 1924?
Between who? Didn't know that.
The first, let me say that again.
Yeah, I was like, huh?
The first African Americans to play a football game in Montgomery against each other was in 1924 at that stadium. That was the first time that stadium allowed African Americans to play at Crampton Bowl.
Oh, okay. That's when you mean by integrated. Because when you were saying integrated, I'm thinking that's like, oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
That's what
I was wrong. You said integrated. I'm like, huh? Okay. Yeah, that stadium. Especially back in that era. Yeah, I can see that. Especially back in that era.
Which was the site of the Turkey Day Classic until it moved on campus. Was 1924. That was the first time African Americans were allowed to play in that stadium.
Last week, remember, Drew, I asked you, I said last week, not to cut you off, remember last year, Drew, is this his second year? And you said something, but I was saying, I remember last year he only won 2 games. So this year he won 5. So that shows improvement. And that's what you want to do as a coach. You want to show improvement. So next year he would probably put a 3 with that 5, which would be 8. And so he's got to start winning those turkey bowls because he lost 2 in a row. But the coach is there. He was a quarterback. He was quarterback when he was there.
They won 6 last year.
No, I thought he was 2-8 last year.
They were 6-2 in conference last year.
Were they?
Yes.
I didn't really pay much to him, but so he took one step back then. He was 6 last year, won 5 this year.
Yeah, I want to say they were 6-2 last year. I might be wrong. They might have been 5-3. But they had 3 bad losses to FCS, which, can I go there, Brian? Is it time for the Division IIs to stop playing FCS?
No. You can compete. You can play at our level, HBCU level. There's really
outside of the check game. What's the benefit? Outside of getting a check, what's the benefit? Especially now, let me spin this forward. Especially with the new landscape, as we talked about on Dr. Cavill this morning, with the new landscape, with everything that's getting ready to come down the line with the scholarship and the NIL. Will we see rivalries like this go away?
I hope not.
I know
we can compete. An NAIA school compete with a big school.
How many times are you gonna beat my head in by 50?
Yeah, there was only one. There was only one Division II team that defeated an FCS this year. I think Doc pointed this out. That was Clark defeating Bethune. Yeah, but it was like 1-9 this year.
Those used to be 50-50 matchups. Hell, 10 years ago, Tuskegee beat every damn body in the SWAC who they played. They beat Jackson State, they beat Alabama State, and they beat Alabama A&M 1 year.
Well, I'll say this. I think we might be in one of those. Everything is cyclical, and there are waves, and this might just be one of those down periods where we're seeing that, and it might be too early to start bagging them up just yet. I just think there's too much history in program history to completely get away from them. Like I know, like, for example, Florida A&M's playing Albany State next year. North Carolina Central, I believe, is playing Fayetteville State next year, or at least some school out of North Carolina next year from out of the CIAA. Right. But so most, especially with a 12-game schedule, majority of FCS teams are going to play a Division II. I mean, it just, when you talk about, look, if the Tennessee State thing has shown you nothing, it's shown you that your fans want to see you play other HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you give that to them? I'm just saying.
What are the benefits? What happened with Bethune lost to Clark Atlanta?
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, okay. I get that. Okay, that's the trade-off. I get you. That's the trade-off. If you lose, but the positives of why you schedule those games, if you are the FCS school, you are giving a hand to the Division II school because you're paying the Division II school, right? So you're supporting them. That's what keeps this wheel spinning. Can
I change the dynamic just a little bit?
No, you keep changing the dynamic, but go ahead.
Okay. While you might be able to keep a Miles Alabama State or Tuskegee Alabama State or Miles Alabama A&M or a Winston-Salem A&T or Norfolk and Virginia State. What about when you have teams like Southern who pays Savannah State to come over there? Why? Or Texas Southern, Florida Memorial, or games like that. What are the purpose of those type games? while there's one thing for your rivalries, your Winston-Salem, A&Ts, and things of that, Union and Hampton. Why are you paying Savannah State to come over there, son?
Because you needed an opponent for the Pete Richardson Classic. That's why, Drew. You couldn't get anybody else. I don't know. You wanted to win.
I don't think we want to see anybody else other than the HBCU on a classic
win.
like that.
Ask Lane about what happens when you want to win against them.
You mean Jackson State played Lane, and I saw what happened.
Thought that was Tennessee State. I thought.
Huh?
The Jackson State Lane. I thought it was Tennessee State Lane.
Yeah. You mean when Lane lost? I mean, look, that's called gambling, Drew. I mean, you roll the dice and you might crap out. But all the other times you roll the dice, you may win. You're supposed to win. 90% of the time, you will win.
Yeah, we know.
Any given Saturday, right?
We know a broke clock is right at least twice a day. Here,
twice a day, exactly.
That would be fair of you. The broke clock was right at that point in time when we looked at it.
Exactly. I don't think now if there was an outlook, if there was a mass string of victories by D2s, then I think you'd have something. Then you'd have all these coaches. Look, they'd be scared to play us, similar to what you see other schools. They'd be scared to play. But I don't. I mean, it's a look. Is anybody at I'm gonna ask. Hold on. I saw Johnny ask a great question. Is anybody at Alabama State or Tuskegee complaining about the historic classic? The alumni. That's what you do. The alumni are happy. Now, if you start hearing that the alumni aren't happy, then I think you got to evaluate. I haven't heard any alumni grumbling, other than the fact that they're saying, man, why are we getting toasted out there on these go routes? How come our DBs can't cover a wide receiver running down the field? I mean, that's about it.
Or a running back coming out the backfield, like, hey, what's going on?
Or a wide receiver throwing 4 touchdowns. I mean, hell, I don't know. That sounds like a bigger problem.
Can I ask the question, whose alumni are you talking to? Because if you're talking to Alabama State alumni, hell yeah, they happy that they finally whooping Tuskegee's ass. If you're talking to Tuskegee alumni, why the hell are we still playing this game?
Is that what they're saying? I don't know.
Because we're not competitive in this game anymore. We can't go to the playoffs because of this game.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Cavill. It depends on which alumni base you're talking to when you do your survey.
All right. Well, look. I mean,
are you seeing the benefits of that game financially? Like, can we see where the money is going? Now at Tuskegee, you can see that. Let there be light. That came from games such as the Turkey Day Classic. But do all D2s actually see the financial benefits? Is there something tangible? Or is it like that investment that you make in the school? You know it's there, but you never see it.
Well, it's a fascinating debate, and I mean the same way we debate about D2s playing FCSs, we'll have the other debate on the other side, us playing those check games when we need that money, and why we play those check games. It's so I don't know what the we know what let me not say we don't know. We know what the solution is, but it's hard to achieve the solution, if that makes sense. All right. Let's move forward here. Bayou Classic. I don't know, Coach, did you end up watching Bayou?
Yes, sir. I watched the Bayou Classic here yesterday at the house. I was
Let me ask from the standpoint of as you watch Southern. Now and I'll never forget, you were one of the people who were high on Jackson State in terms of their offensive line and what they could do. When you watch Southern, and as you watch Southern, as you're watching them against Grambling, do they give off vibes as a team that is ready to defeat a team that they lost to 33-15 12 weeks ago?
No. No. And Carlos Brown, don't hate me. Thank you for putting me on the show. We friends forever. But no, man. What I saw yesterday, I saw shout out to Evans Graves, his coaching staff, they're doing a great job, but they're not physical enough. Jack State is playing physical. Jack State, like I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I said it's like Mike Tyson compared to Floyd Mayweather. Two of them great in their weight class, but Mike Tyson's gonna come swing on you. He's gonna come with haymaker. He's trying to get you out the game right now. Floyd Mayweather is jabbing you, and then he's backing up. He's jabbing you. He's getting them pretty points and styles. Southern's getting them pretty points and styles. They're getting 3-4 yards cloud of dust. They throwing that out route, but they ain't just coming in with a power running game smashing you. And then I thought the quarterback situation was over with. I thought T-Set was the man. I saw Bowden, whatever his name is. I saw him yesterday. Nothing against the brother, but I thought T-Set was the guy. And then defensively, they at times they gave up some plays to Grambling where they should have just shut them down, and they didn't. Terrence had to call a timeout. I think everybody saw it. Well, he had to get on their butts, and I've had to do that before myself. Like, hey, what's going on here? Everything like that. And I think they scored like the very next series, so he had to wake them up. But Jackson State right now, and they've had time to heal. Jackson State's playing violently. They're playing maliciously. They're playing very good football, and I think that they're hungry. And you mentioned it earlier. I think they remember what happened a couple years ago in the Celebration Bowl. There's still some kids on that team. If not, TC remembers. He was there. And so I think they want to get back there and let everybody know that they are the team to beat. And the way they're playing football right now is like, I see a good game Saturday, but I got Jackson State. I don't see an 18 or 20-point game, but I got Jackson State 24-17.
All right, 24-17. That's covering that 18 that you talked about. All right. Drew, did you see my neat little graphic that I put up earlier? A breakdown of the matchup between Southern and Jackson. Any thoughts on the SWAC championship game on Saturday?
I mean, Southern gonna have to create it on defense. It's just that simple. Can Southern create short fields or opportunities to score off of their defense? Pick sixes, fumble sixes, things like that, or turning the ball over in plus territory. That's what Southern is going to have to do to win this game. But I've got, since we got Coach Norman here, I want to ask him a question about, and I'll say it. First of all, I hope that the young man from Grambling is okay. I heard he got released from the hospital on yesterday evening after the game. Took a big hit. But Coach, what are your opinions of that hit? Do you just give me your opinions of that hit, both in the moment, as a coach, how you react to something like that? You got the stoppage while they've got to tend to the young man, but you've got this: is my player going to be ejected or not ejected for this hit? Take us through that. I'm not going to ask you whether the hit was clean or not clean. That's going to be a matter of debate and a matter of opinion. But that moment in that time, you've got a 10, 15 minute of stoppage, obviously for the concern for the young man. But that whole set of emotion from the hit, the flag, to is one of my players who already had an interception in that game. Is he going to be ejected? Now I've got to get my players motivated back again to go out and play ball on both sides. Take us through all those emotions, Coach.
First of all, shout out to that young man and his family. I'm glad to hear that he is better because it's football, and as much as we hate to, injuries happen. That's why everybody's so cautious about concussions and everything like that. Going through that play, I just saw someone said that he lunged at him. I don't think that he was trying to hurt the guy. We don't wake up as players. We all play the game. We don't wake up saying we want to hurt someone. We may not like someone, but we're not trying to hurt someone. I thought that it was just a freak accident, something that happens. And I don't think the kid who hit him was trying to do what he did. Maybe he was trying to make a play, but I don't think he was trying to, put him in a stretcher, everything like that. As a coach, you worry about both sides real quickly. You worry about the young man who's on the ground more than anything. Like, wow, will he get up? Will he ever play again? Because as a coach, you have to think about that because you coach this young man. And then you worry about your player. Then you think about, then you in your memory real quickly, was that dirty? Did he do that? I mean, I know I don't coach like that. I know we don't teach that. But then as you start to calm down a little bit, you see it was just a freak of nature type hit. It happens. It's football. and you go to your young man and you give him a hug and you say, hey, good job, good hit. Are you okay? Get some water, sit down, breathe. And you walk over there and you talk to the other coach. Hey, how's he doing? Is he okay? And you say a prayer for him and his family. And you got to keep coaching the game. And then after the game, you call over there, you check on him. If it's close, you drive over there, everything like that. Because once again, it's football. And although it's a different side of the field, he's still a young black man that's trying to, play the game, get a degree, move on in life. But first of all, when something like that happens, you want to make sure it's not dirty. Because you don't want no one ever say, oh, you run a dirty program, you teach like that. No, you don't do that. This ain't the New Orleans Saints where they're putting bounties on people. We don't do that kind of stuff. And so I think that was just something that just freak of nature, something that just happened. I don't really think that kid did that on purpose. And once again, I'm glad the young man is able to get up and move around, and hopefully next season he can get back out there and display some skills.
Appreciate those thoughts. I didn't get a chance to see the play, so I didn't get to see any of the highlights from that. And it is
Bryan,
kind of.
It was one of those hits where you saw it live, because I was watching the game live, that made you stop and say pause and say ooh, poo poo. And poo poo is not the word I was using.
Yeah, please don't say the other word. Yeah, no, it was a hit. It was one of them old school 1970, 80 types.
It was one of the ones you used to see on NFL film.
Yeah, it was one of them old school hits. Like, whoa, we don't. They clean the game up, so you don't see those no more. So when you see them, you're like, whoa. And like I say, I don't think he was intentionally trying to hurt that young brother. I really don't. I think it was just something that you just happened. It just happened. In football, those things happen.
Yeah. That hit, and did that occur on special teams, or did it occur?
No, it was a throw over the middle.
Okay. Oh, damn, throws over the middle, boy. Jeez. All right. I obviously on the heels of the young man from Alabama A&M, Medrick Burnett Jr.
Hey, what went on with that? Because earlier in the week they said the young man passed, and the very next day they said he was still breathing. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Okay. So yeah, well, and I guess since we're here, I guess I'll just in sad summary, young man Medrick Burnett Jr., Alabama A&M football player, did pass. It's a result of an injury that occurred during the Magic City Classic game. To summarize, after talking to several people, to basically summarize the past week for Alabama A&M, it's been a very challenging week for them on many fronts in terms of information. Trying to be respectful, but at the same time, trying to inform is always challenging. And I will say this: if anybody was critical of Alabama A&M, which had initially posted a notice stating that the young man had passed.
Yeah, I seen that. That's what made me say that.
Now, that was because information that was given to the university and university officials came from one side of his family. And there were several checks and balances that were put in place among Alabama A&M. Maybe the only check and balance that maybe didn't happen was actually being on site at the hospital to ask someone there themselves. But it wasn't until after that news had come out that phone calls started coming in, and the other side of the young man's family had essentially, how I want to say this, disagreed with the statement that he was deceased.
Yeah.
I believe he was still on life support. He had not technically, and I'm saying technically because you have to, what the coroner's office, I don't think had technically declared him deceased. So there was still hope from one side of the young man's family. And so in learning of that, the university ended up having to do a retraction statement. Then come to find out that the coroner's office did actually release a time which, the way I was told, was sort of in sync with when Alabama A&M originally released the statement. So it was an up and down situation, because you had some people who kind of knew, some people who did not. And so, yeah, I'm seeing some of you guys in the comments. You obviously very well know. So I'm trying to be
in situations like that. You shouldn't release any information unless you know, because when I came across Twitter and I said a prayer real quick for the young man.
A lot of people did. And
then I say the next day they're talking about, he's still breathing. I'm like, whoa, did God touch him? Then it comes back out, he passed away again. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? So whoever released that first statement, the parents should go after them, because you don't have the right to do that.
Hold on. I will say this in 100% defense of the information coming out. And see, this is the thing here, Coach. You had two sides of the family supplying information, and I'll say it like that. You had one side of the family telling, that had a belief that the young man had passed, and had said it was okay for the university or a representative of the university to release the information. And the university did checks. I talked firsthand to the people who put that information out. They checked. They had waited. They checked. And then once it went out, it was like, the other side of the family says, whoa, that's too early. That's not, and it's a situation of, and I've never been there, but if you've heard or seen situations where someone's on life support and the back and forth that happens with that can be concerning. And so, yes, it looks bad from the outside, because you're looking at it from the outside, and you're looking at the university saying, what is the university doing? What is that? Why are they releasing a statement and they don't know? They tried their best to be respectful and get it right. And sadly, the timing of it all made it look like they were wrong. And so it does look bad. And so I would just say, I talked firsthand to the people at Alabama A&M who put the statement out. They tried their hardest to make sure that the information that they released was correct and accurate. And just got, I don't know. You can easily say, yeah, they could have waited another day. Sure. But they were reacting off information they were getting from a primary parent, a primary family member. And unfortunately, it was another side to that. So the parents weren't necessarily on the same page with disseminating information. There wasn't anyone who was speaking for the family. Sometimes you see in cases where a family has a spokesperson, and that spokesperson will release the information to the media and public, or you'll see a statement from the family. That wasn't the case in this situation. And so, had that been in place, maybe it doesn't look as clunky as it looked. And so that happened.
And Bryan, I will say this, having gone through this situation with a public figure in my family, it is always best if the immediate family, the decision makers, step away and let somebody else. Now, there's somebody else, could be a cousin or a good family friend, but the mama, daddy, or children do not need to be in that position to do that because of the emotions that are involved with releasing, not releasing. There needs to be a third party. It could be family, it could be somebody outside the family. But just having been through that situation, I can understand how that happened.
Yeah.
And there's always that one family member. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. There's always that one family member who will post to Facebook or post to Instagram before everybody else is ready to release the information. It is what it is.
I'm confused here because I'm hearing so he some people say he passed, but he didn't pass. He didn't pass later, but we got it out that he had passed. And then he did pass, and so now they're saying, oops, oh, we're sorry, he didn't pass. I'm gonna say, for example, my father passed away 2 years ago, okay? And my aunt lives in Detroit. She says, baby, call me when my brother's gone. I said, yes, ma'am. So when I called her, I said, Auntie, Daddy gone. I didn't say 2 hours before, well, he's slowly breathing. No, Auntie, Daddy gone. So she knew then, get to Houston. So I'm like,
one parent did say that, Coach. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if he said that exactly, but that did come from a parent. That's why the statement got released from Alabama A&M. What Drew is saying is so the parents are separated. The parents aren't together, and I tried to avoid getting into their business, but so you got two sides of the family giving information. The young man was on life support, and they had removed the machine that was keeping him on life support. So you had a situation where, from my understanding, his mother at the hospital who was with him was not ready to, was not in agreement with whomever, whether it been the father, the medical people there that said your son is sadly not alive anymore.
Yes.
And so when the report came out, that's when people were notifying the university, hey, he's not gone, blah, blah, blah. Sadly, yeah, I don't know how to really. I don't really know how to.
Let's move on. It's an unfortunate situation playing the game that he loved. That he was hurt on the field to the point where it cost him his life.
Yeah. Now the other part of this is you had a game that was playing on Saturday, Friday, where Alabama A&M players, from what I'm told, still didn't know what his real condition was. There was a report that came out from ESPN during the actual game between Florida A&M and Alabama A&M confirming essentially what the coroner's office had stated, is that the young man, Medrick Burnett, I want to say his name, Medrick Burnett, he was no longer alive. That came out. I saw the tweet come out or the post come out. I felt like during the game or maybe before the game.
I saw it right before the game. Maybe okay. I think it was a 4:00 kick. It was about 2 something when I saw it.
Now, here's where it gets dicey. During that game, no information had gotten in terms of this. If you're on your phone, you knew, right? This game was back and forth. At one point, FAMU had a 28-13 lead in the fourth quarter. Alabama,
I seen that.
They cut it to 8.
20-28.
28-28. They had just forced FAMU to punt with about, 3.5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
And this blew my mind when it happened. At this moment in the game, the PA announcer comes over the speaker of the stadium and announces to Bragg Stadium that the young man, Medrick Burnett, had lost his life. And that comes out, and they call for it literally because you're in between a timeout, a media timeout, I think it was. They essentially did a moment of silence for the young man.
Yes.
during the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the fourth quarter, with about 3 to go, Alabama A&M's like about to get the ball, trying to tie the game up.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, as this is happening, I'm thinking, OS. I'm like, are we really doing this now?
Yeah, really.
This point in the game? And I know there were some thoughts and comments that I saw on social media that, you know, people thought that, oh, what poor timing by FAMU to do this. And there was a lot of blame thrown at FAMU. I'll say this. I don't know who made the decision to do that in that moment. There was some word that Coach Maynard may not have told his team about Medrick, that Medrick was actually gone. So there were guys who may not have known. There's some guys who may have known. But the timing of that just felt, in trying to pay respect for that young man, I don't know if that was the right moment to do that.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
I can understand people who say it wasn't. I don't know if there's, if you do something like that, maybe you do it at the beginning of the game, and maybe you don't do it, or maybe you do it at halftime. Maybe you don't do it in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go, trying to get it in before the game is over, right when Alabama A&M's about to get the ball. So the timing looks really bad. It looked really bad. And so I get it. Anybody who wants to, I can tell you now, this was not a staged, it wasn't like, oh, here's FAMU trying to put in something or trying to get in and trying to keep out. No, it wasn't nothing like that. It was the time. Is there ever good timing for things like this? No.
Is there a right way to handle this?
Is there a right way to handle this? No. In wanting to try to be respectful, somebody made the decision to do it at that point in time. And so I guess if anything, you can be critical about the timing.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't good to do that. And so I don't know. I haven't heard much after that, and I haven't sought to find out about that. And so that was the last piece of that, Drew, that I wanted to mention, because it was out there, and I didn't want anybody to think that, I just wanted to kind of put a full circle on that thing and just say what a challenging week for all parties trying to inform, which at the end of the day, whether it be the Bragg Stadium PA, the people at Alabama A&M, you're trying to inform on a sensitive situation. You're trying to get people to rally behind and give their prayers and support to this family that just lost their son. And it was just fumbled. You could say it was fumbled in a couple of different ways. And I don't know how you could have avoided it. Maybe you don't say anything.
That's the best you do. Don't say none at all.
Well,
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about that game, Bryan, I found it refreshing on Friday in a game where neither team really had anything to play for. I'm talking about Florida A&M and Alabama A&M. That neither team mailed it in. Both teams went out, played hard, and played competitive in their particular ball
game. Yeah. I just saw somebody ask, is there a GoFundMe or anything? I will say I just did a search. I'm not going to post it because I'm always nervous. I don't know if it's, but I did. You can do a search for Medrick Burnett Jr. with GoFundMe, and there is a GoFundMe. Now, this was created back on October 30th. No, I'm sorry. Did I say that right? November 20. When was it? I just saw it. It was created on October 30th.
Right, which is right after the the Magic City Classic. It's right.
Right. Okay. So I did see it right. It was created October 30th. And that's what it says. Now it doesn't say anything else, and I'm assuming the photo there is a photo of him. And they've raised nearly $60,000 of the $100,000 goal. So if there's anybody, I don't know if Alabama A&M has posted anything from their site encouraging people to go to that GoFundMe. So as I will say with a disclaimer that do your own research either via the Alabama A&M athletics department website or just kind of read through carefully on that GoFundMe page. In terms of who created it. I don't know. Somebody asked me in the chat who created it. I don't know. Edwin asked who created it. I don't know who created it. There is a donation protected thing there. So yeah, I don't know who. It was created by someone out of Birmingham, Alabama. So yeah, I don't want to put that person's name out there, but it was created by somebody. So I don't know. I would just say, do your own research and use your own judgment on that site. Yeah, I don't. Thank you, Timona. I just don't know. I don't know who that person is, so I don't. If that's a family member, cousin.
I go endorse it one way or the other.
Yeah, well, Lawrence says it's legit, so I would again. I bring it up to let you guys know. Again, you can simply do a search under Medrick Burnett Jr. and GoFundMe, and the page will pop right up. And so there, yeah, Hugh Jackson donated $1,000. So by all indications, it sounds legitimate, and I just hope that. I hope there's a way. I know it's tough. I like what you said, Drew, about finding, but and we can kind of move off this. I know we've gone along on it, but I think your idea is on point about having a family spokesperson. But I will say this, that concept is about as sometimes foreign a concept as it is the concept of having an estate and will planning for a family member in the event that a family member passes. It's something that we don't do a lot of
as a people,
Yeah. And so I would encourage you, in the same respect that Drew said, to have a family spokesperson in situations like that. Great. I also say right now as a PSA, because I know we did this for my late mother and my parents, is to have a will and estate planning. It's no shame in doing it while everyone's alive. Sometimes it's best time to do it.
Brian, here's the problem. We as Black people don't like to talk about this.
That's true.
Because when you go to your mom or your dad or your uncle or your aunt and talk about estate planning, will planning, insurance, what are insurance papers and all that stuff, the first thing they always say is, why are you trying to kill?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to kill you. I want you to stay here. But because sooner or later, we all going to check out. We all are going to check out. When we do check out, and if you check out before me, I need to know what you want to do. Do you want to be buried, or do you want to be cremated?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be buried, where do you want to be buried at? Do you want the $10,000 funeral, or do you want the big funeral with the limos and the gold casket? These are things that should be talked about and already handled before, not in the moment of grief,
right?
Where everybody's fussing and fighting. I know, and not to be putting business out there, but we know we have all had family incidents where there has been infighting when somebody passes away before their time. Mm-hmm. And when I say before their time, when people get up there, you expect it. When somebody passes away in their 40s, 50s, or early 60s, there's always that fighting about who's in charge, who's doing what, and everything. Because it ain't necessarily the oldest child make the best decision.
Right. Great point. Great point, Drew.
Let's move off of that because I mean we could make this a life planning
life planning PSA show.
A life planning PSA, but I really want to talk about Virginia Union and Jada Bowers. I mean Byers. Jada Byers. Jada Bowers.
I told Charles earlier. I said this is the second week in a row where what was the other incident? Oh, was it the SWAC championship, the volleyball championship thing with the rattlers? And it's like, come on. I need my media professionals. And I know that the broadcast, that's a Lenore Ryan broadcast, and maybe that's
BOWERS is not BYDERS.
Yeah, we both had to pronounce much harder names, Drew.
Come to HBCU. You're gonna get your Shaquitas and all that stuff, Shaniquas and all that stuff, and where we have names where consonants run together that shouldn't run together, and vowels run together that shouldn't run together, and the name is John. By the time you get done with it, I hate to say, because of our cultural diversity, and I'm not trying to be funny, but because of our cultural diversity at HBCUs, Bryan and I, we come across this all the time. The first thing Bryan and I will go and do is we're going to find an assistant coach, a manager, or somebody who can help us out with the name. Bryan, you remember the year we did we had a UVI game?
UVI.
Virgin Island.
Oh,
Virgin Island.
Okay.
It was UVI and EWC at that time.
Okay. Yes.
Do you remember that game? And of about the 12 players that they brought, I swear we had to write out 9 of them phonetically.
Yeah, you spend time trying to pronunciate these names and just hope you don't have to say them back to back in a play.
And sometimes we've made the decision, well, we're going with the first name of this person because the last name we know we are going to stumble over it the entire game. And out of respect for that person's name, you try to get it right.
Yeah. So anyway, Byers, Virginia Union advances on to the regional finals. They'll take on number 1 Valdosta State, who beat Miles the other day. That's the game you said you ended up hearing on. You were listening to on the radio, right, Coach? The Miles game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so, and I guess here's where I think this game is going to go. And I go back to something specifically I remember Dr. Alvin Parker saying. He felt like in the preseason, he had the 3 best running backs in the CIAA. I remember him saying that. Now, again, Union wasn't predicted preseason 1 in the CIAA. I think it went to Virginia State. Yeah, they were 3rd. Crazy, right? And I mean, look, the CIAA was a great conference this year. I just remember him going back talking about having the 3 best backs. And so when I heard that, I'm thinking, okay, that's telling me you think you got the best offensive line in the CIAA. And the way they control the ball, Coach, I think they're gonna give Valdosta State a run for their money. And the crazy part is when the whole Jada Byers thing started, Valdosta State, I think was that Coach Jackson's first year?
That was 2 years ago. That would have been 2 years ago, right? When he was a sophomore?
Yep.
That would have been his first year.
3 bills in that game.
Yes. Yeah. So I know Coach Tremaine Jackson's going to have nightmares this week. Like, how do we stop this brother? And they got 2 more behind him.
Yeah, because he ran for 3-something in that game.
Yes. And that's where Jada Byers kind of came on the map.
And they beat him.
Right. So Virginia Union is not going into Valdosta scared. They ain't scared. They understand the assignment.
At Valdosta.
Valdosta. They understand the assignment, and wow. So that's going to be a great contest. I think that's scheduled for 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Let me ask a question, Drew. You know D2 a little bit better than everybody on the panel right here. How about Valdosta get 2 back-to-back playoff home games?
Number 1 seed, undefeated.
Yeah.
Okay.
10-0 in the regular season, probably would have been 11-0 were it not for the Hurricane.
Yeah.
They lost the game to the Hurricane.
Virginia Union, was it Virginia Union who was supposed to host that game against Lenore Ryan, but ended up having to go on the road to Hickory?
There were some hiccups that occurred, and they deemed it best that they went on the road to Lenore Ryan. That's the information that I can pass on. But I do know one of the factors, and I will share this publicly. One of the factors that went into it, if you remember last Sunday on Dr. Kavill's show, we were talking about different factors on whether you would want to host or not want to host this week. One of the factors went in to this was the lack of personnel that would be available on such a short turnaround during the holiday week, i.e., the calf was closed.
Okay.
So, people already had plans. So it hosting a football game by itself is
well, how are other schools able to do it though, Drew? That's the thing. Like, I mean,
is Lenore Ryan? How many times has Virginia Union ever hosted a game and used to being in this position? Let's be real. It doesn't happen too often.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Lenore Ryan has been there before.
Yes, they have.
They have these plans put away in the file cabinet on what they need to do if they are hosting. They have money set aside so that they can pay the overtime.
There you go.
People
There's
who will have to do this. We would have been doing this by the skin of our teeth, and just being realistic, Riffy. And Coach Norman, you was already going out of town. You was not changing your plans after you done bought that plane ticket back to New Mexico for Thanksgiving. I don't care how much overtime I was paying you on that day. It wasn't gonna cover that plane ticket that you bought back in August or back in September.
Mm-hmm.
So logistically speaking,
a lot of logistics went into it.
Okay. Now, with that said, and I think Lawrence had said that if Virginia Union wins, they'll play the winner of Slippery Rock versus California. Now, again, I don't know. Again, I don't know if that would be a potential road or home game. Lawrence, I don't know who's the high. I don't know, how does it work once after this round in terms of seeding, Drew?
They reseed come the Final Four, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So we got to go look and see. Virginia Union, again, was not one of the...
Was unranked.
They were not one of the top 4 teams.
Right. So the chances of them being on the road again are great. And let's think about it. The last time that we had an HBCU in this position in the regional finals, does anybody know?
Is that Winston-Salem State?
Incorrect.
The last time, but it was more recent. Was it within the last 5 years?
It wasn't within the last 5 years.
Because Bowie, how far did Bowie State go?
The second round.
Second round. Okay. Well, now I don't know. You go ahead. You got the answer. Sure be a man.
And I'm trying to pull up the year. I do believe it was 2016.
2016. Who was that?
I'm trying to pull up the year. No, it was not 2016.
And again, you're saying the last time an HBCU went to the Final Four. That's the question on the table.
No.
Right?
I'm saying I'm talking about the regional final.
Oh, well, Doc, I said Bowie State. You're saying it's not Bowie State?
No, Bowie State didn't make the quarter.
Okay, Bowie State did not make the quarterfinals, Doc. So you'd be wrong on that.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out who it is.
Yeah. You got us, Drew. You got us waiting. We're all on the edge of our seats waiting.
Tuskegee, 2015, where they lost at West Georgia in the quarterfinals.
What year was that?
2015.
Okay, my fault. 2015. Tuskegee.
And just so we could go back for history, in the first round, Tuskegee defeated Catawba 26-16. In the second round, they defeated North Alabama, who's no longer Division II, 35-31. And then they lost at West Georgia, 35-6, who's also no longer in the Division II at the Division II level.
Was Coach Ruffin, was that his team?
No, that was Coach Slater. Willie Slater.
Oh, Coach Slater. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the last time we've had an HBCU make it this far.
All right. We'll see if Virginia Union can go to Valdosta and avoid any clock issue.
Man, I'm scared.
It was 12 minutes for the whole second half, wasn't it?
I'm scared because, halftime, 15 to go, all of a sudden the clock's not working. I'm saying this, me and Bryan talked about this earlier. We all know, if you don't know, Valdosta is a football town, high school and college. So you're not rolling into their backyard this time of the year and getting a dub sack. It's not happening. You're going to get some home cooking. You're going to see 3 or 4 people walking around in chef jackets and a top hat, laughing at you, smiling. You're going to get it. So you got to score some points. I'm scared because they run the ball so well. Jada Byers is very well known. He reminds me of Danny Wood. He came from Sharon State. I coached against him back when I was at Western New Mexico years back. They played for the Patriots and the
Chargers.
Chargers. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Patriots and the Chargers. About the same size. Jada probably a step fast, but in that same mold, everything like that. So I'm nervous that let's say it's 2021 fourth quarter. Jada breaks one. Holding, huh? Man's over 200. Or they it's 17-14. Valdosta's get ready to punt, block the punt, scoop up, going. Oh, offside. I mean, something that's gonna make you get off your seat and want to go back to those days, which we don't want to do that. But you're gonna be like,
conspiracy theorist, Coach Farasi.
It's like, wow. That's why I say I'm nervous because, come on, first half we didn't have a clock problem. It was what, 9-6 halftime, 13-6. Well, it was close at the halftime. We have a clock problem. Second half got a clock problem. Remember when I first met you guys, I said, not to cut you off, but when I said I always take a stopwatch on the road, and you said, why? I said, because of those situations.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the guys came out, he said, it's okay, start the second half. Referee's gonna keep time on the field. I'm like, huh? And then 2 minutes later, it's like 14:08. I'm like, huh? Then it got down to like 9:54. Then they took a break and they came back and it was like 7:53. And I'm like, huh? I told you, if you add up, it's like 9 minutes gone. Where? So I'm nervous. I'm nervous, man. And I'm not blaming Tremaine Jackson. I know he's over there, but he's one of us. I'm just scared because it's been a while since they've won a national championship. They're used to winning them. They got a great football program. It's a great football town. But I'm gonna say prayers because I don't want to see something like that happen. But if it does, say Frosty said it because I'm just thinking, like I text you guys, what happened to the clock? What happened to the clock?
I hope you're on this one,
Bryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Cavill. It's always bad when you get up in front of the class and the dean has to correct you. And the dean has made his correction.
So I was right. I knew I was right.
It was Bowie State in 2021. Listen to the irony of this. Listen to the irony, because I forgot about the Bowie State.
Yeah.
Here's the irony, Bryan. First round, defeated Lenoir-Rhyne 31-10. Second round, defeated Newberry 13-10. Quarterfinals, lost to Valdosta State 41-17.
Right.
Now, Bowie State, that's the coach now that's currently at Morgan now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Same opponents that Union has faced thus far.
Mm-hmm.
What was that game played at?
Rounds with different orders.
Valdosta.
Oh!
Valdosta was the #1 seed then also.
Yeah. Well, they've been, look, if we counted on one hand at the time, Valdosta's been the 1 seed. I mean.
Yeah. The difference between 21 and this year, Bowie State had the first 2 rounds at home versus Union being on the road.
Right, I remember that. But look, hey, remember last year? I told you, Union is a road. Look, as crazy as this sounds, if anybody knows how to win on the road, it's Virginia Union. Because remember, I don't know if it was last year or it might have been the 2 years ago, that team had some of their best games on the road. And that's what they do. That's what Union does, man. I'm telling you, I'm picking Union in this game on Saturday by probably about maybe 6 points. I'm gonna go 30. I'm gonna go 31. What's -6? 31-27. 31-27. No, that's not even 6 points. I don't even know what the math is on that one. But anyway, don't hold that.
31-25, man.
Yeah, well, I can't do that. I don't know how you get 25. So let me go 30. Let me go 31-24. Right. Virginia Union over Valdosta State, 31-24.
Hey, Coach Norman.
Yes, sir.
What did you talk about Valdosta State and everything that surrounds Valdosta State? That is a community, believe it or not, that does not support its college football team.
Really?
Now, if you talk about Valdosta High School or Lowndes High School, they'll be there 10,000 strong. It'll be 3,000 people in the same stadium where Valdosta High School plays at, Valdosta State plays at. There might be 3,000 people there on the Saturday. There'll be 10,000 people there Friday night.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. I thought for sure they stood behind the team.
Not only does Valdosta State have a successful football program, but you name a sport in Division II, Valdosta State is competing baseball, softball, basketball, men and women. That is a very successful Division II program. And here's the thing of it, and I can tell you this: they don't have any more resources than any other Division II school that we have out there. Matter of fact, there's some Division II schools that have more resources than Valdosta State does. They do more with less than a lot of our people do.
That's what you call building somebody. That's what you call building a program that has a culture. Mm-hmm. That they identify a good coach, and somehow they keep that train rolling.
Coaches, they get the cream of the crop with their coaches. Because remember, Kerwin Bell was the coach last time they won in 2018. Yeah. Former quarterback at the University of Florida. I mean, they've had a run of coaches down there. So, well, you've had more stability in some of the other programs, basketball, baseball, but football has been a revolving door. But that door has brought nothing but success.
Their athletic director, who former FAMU grad, he's been consistent. Now, I think he retired.
He retired at the end of last year.
Yeah, but he had been consistent through all of those years. And so if anybody knew or knows how to, this is where you talk about the consistency of having some good athletic administration, being able to identify people who can continue to build your program or keep your program at a high level. That's where the hiring comes in. And when you have an athletic director who understands the assignment, that's what you get. You get a program like Valdosta State. So, yeah. And so, hey, I want to hit on a couple other topics here before we close out the show. So we got to go rapid fire here on a couple things, because I do want to get through showing my my BCSN win totals. I worked hard on these graphics, kind of a summary of our prediction from the beginning of the season to what happened at the end of the year.
Oh, Daddy, look at the picture I drew in class, Daddy. Look at the picture I drew in class.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? And the message that I get from my dad, which I still get to this day, that's great, son. That's great. Hey, on this other thing over here, so I'm used to it. So don't worry, fellas. I don't hold it against you. If you tell me, Bryan, that's great, and then we just keep on moving. So I'm used to it. Division I football. I don't know. There was something in the water yesterday.
You made the 4 fights post game, or did you talk about the 2 fights during the game that were all on national TV?
No, whatever, both, any and everything. It was something in the water on Saturday in which everybody who first off, I love rivalry weekend. Say that fast 5 times. I love it. Now, it's even sweeter when the road team gets the win. We had some great games. Like I watched the highlights of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech should have won that game. That was an amazing game, right? But I'm gonna tell you what, the post-game shenanigans, fights that took place at the end of Michigan beating Ohio State, North Carolina State on the road beating North Carolina, Florida State on the road, Florida on the road beating Florida State. Let me see. Those were, of course, it started with the Ohio State-Michigan game where you're trying to plant a flag into artificial turf. Anyway, you try to get to the logo, and I'm trying to play, and then a brawl broke out to the point where you had the police officers pulling out mace. Literally, they pulled out mace to sparse to get the kids back.
How else do you get 200 people to separate, Bryan?
Look, I don't know. I think there had to be another way. But the fact that you just open up your can of mace and, hell, come on now. And then you got North Carolina State beating poor Mac Brown, dead man walking, last game ever for a Hall of Fame legend. Mm-hmm. North Carolina State brings out the flag and, the wolf pack, and then all of a sudden a fight breaks out. Florida tries to plant the flag. Coaches don't want to shake hands. Florida State, your season sucked all year, and now you want to fight and get upset. Get out of here. What was the other one? Texas.
You had Texas A&M in Texas.
Right. Well, it also occurred after the game too, where Texas tried to go to the logo, and then their coach actually was smart and told the guys, "Nah, back up. We're not doing that. We're not stomping on the A&M logo at midfield and all that other stuff." Hold up. I forgot about another post-game one. How about Missouri and Arkansas? Oh, I missed that.
I'm from Missouri, and I never knew Arkansas was a rival.
It's a border war, isn't it? That's a border.
Man, that is an artificial war.
Former Big Eight rivals? Big Eight rivals?
Arkansas was never in the Big Eight.
Oh, really?
Arkansas was in the Southwest Conference.
Oh, Southwestern Conference, SWC. Okay.
Right. That is something they manufactured once both of them got into the SEC. One last one. You had Houston and BYU. Who would have thought the Mormons was going to be out there boxing?
Hey, I'm tell you what, man. So I guess all that to say, Coach, what's your take? Rivalry? Where do you stand on the flag playing? You had Ryan Day, who, look, the one thing Ryan Day can't do is beat Michigan. He can beat everybody else in the country. He can't beat Michigan to save his life. And the poor guy is standing there trying to figure out what happened. What happened, dude, is your guys didn't want to. They didn't fight for 60 minutes on the field, but then because Michigan rolls out the flag, they want to fight. And he's sitting there like, what happened? Coach, what's the responsibility of the head coach in situations like this?
Let me say something real quickly. Timmy, Johnny, why are you guys fighting? Well, Farasi and A.D was fighting, so we thought it'd be okay too. Oh, little humor. Get it? Farasi and A.D was fighting. The blacks were fighting, so we wanted to fight too.
They're all blacks, though. All these teams are black kids. There's black kids all over the field.
Oh, so.
But who?
Oh no, because I saw the Florida State and the Florida coach. They looked like they was about to come to blows because somebody threw a flag and said, "Don't be throwing my flag." And it was words. I was like, "Oh, coaches, hey."
Yeah.
But Brian, we have a problem with HBCU football, and I'm being facetious when I say that.
Yeah.
But I'll fight.
But anyway, what do you do, Brian? You go back to what I said last week. Go ahead, Drew.
Who was fighting on national TV? Because every one of those games was on national TV.
Yeah.
Most of them were on linear TV.
They held
over the air.
Hey, Fox held the camera. Remember, I know people had problems with the North Carolina Central Howard fight. They were like, "Oh, they held it too long." Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. This isn't good. But hey, in all respect, Fox Sports, they kept that camera on the fight just as long as that brawl between Howard and Central. So I don't know if that's equal coverage. I don't know if that's good, bad, or what. But
I don't know who was covering. I don't know who was covering the Florida State game, but they did the same. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, to whoever said that statement, hey, they're keeping the camera on them too, because I was like, I thought they said, okay, go to break. No, they kept that camera right there. That's how you saw the coaches going face to face. And the other coach walked away, and the other coach followed me, turned around, and I'm thinking, oh, they about to throw these hands. And he said, don't you throw that flag. I'll throw the flag. I want you throw that flag, Billy.
I don't know which game it was that I was watching, because I kept flipping channels. But one of the games after the fight, they still had the nerve to do the post-game interview.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you got to do the post-game interview, because you got to hear the coach get up there and say something to the effect
of... It was with one of the players, though.
Huh?
It was with one of the players, the one that I saw, the one that I'm talking about.
Oh, well, I look, maybe I should take this more seriously, because I found it all humorous. But I mean, so I apologize for anybody who finds this really serious. Now, I know I'm in trouble already, because I know just 3 weeks ago, I sat up here and told the world right on this same platform, I was all in my feels about, oh man, we got to do more. But I mean, we do have to do more, don't we? Don't we have to do more? Seriously? The conferences, the SWAC and the MEAC, they dropped the hammer down on the 4 schools: Jackson State, Alabama State, North Carolina Central, and Howard. So props to Dr. McClellan and Commissioner Stills. They did something about it, and they suspended a lot of guys. So I'm joking, but I'm really there. Is there a serious? What's the bigger picture here? What guys? What's the serious? Is there a solution? Is it the flag planning? Is it our young men not knowing how to handle confrontation? More of the same?
No. It's the look at me now culture that we have. Everybody wants attention on themselves, and sometimes people don't know how to handle that attention, or you can't deal with somebody else getting that attention. You just got your ass whooped at home. Number one, you don't want him planting that flag on your field. Win the damn ball game. It's that simple. Win the ball game. That's number one. But number two, whatever happens at you win with grace and lose with dignity. We don't teach that anymore. We do not teach that anymore. Act like you've been there before.
Yeah.
When you win. And when you lose, remember this feeling so that you never have to feel it again. We don't teach that anymore. Now it's like when you just made a big hit on somebody, Coach Norman, and you stand over them flexing. Yeah, flag is there. I mean, why? Is that the first tackle of your career?
Hey, I was gonna say you must have been watching my high school highlights, because I used to do that.
you just bust through the line for a touchdown. So what? Hand the ball to the doggone ref and get your ass on the sideline. Then you can go celebrate.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the Barry Sanders type players? No, everybody, because of NIL and everything associated with it, I gotta do my happy dance and all that stuff.
All right. Well,
Oh, and one last thing, and then I'm gonna pass it on to Coach Norman. How you gonna suspend these players on their last game? Number one, half of them graduating, they out of eligibility. The other one's hitting the transfer portal. So what you gonna do? But if they get picked up by somebody, they can't play the first game at their next school. Who gonna enforce that?
So it sounds like you're going to somewhat agree. Remember when I said coaches should be held to more of a higher standard, and everyone was like, "No, you can't hold the coaches responsible for this." If you're not going to hold the players responsible, who are you going to hold responsible? You're going to have to somehow either get at the coaches or get at the athletic departments. I don't know.
Well, stop planting flags, because obviously that starts fights. So stop that. Got to go back to being sportsmanship. If like I see one coach says he diagnoses the temperature of his team towards the end of the game. If his guys are riled up, he won't shake hands. He'll just say everybody to the locker room. That prevents a fight. So coach has to take that into his hands and say, okay, I don't think my team was ready to shake hands, and I didn't want to see a brawl because I didn't want to get hit with the $50,000 fine, and I didn't want my school to get hit. So I like that assessment by the coach. But yeah, yesterday, as we saw, everybody was fighting because of a flag. So stop planting flags. And on our side of the street, we just have to learn at the end of the day, them still our brothers, although they're representing the university, them still our brothers. Win, lose, or draw. Hey, good game. See you guys next year, or what have you like that. Coach, and then coach has to set the situation too. Feel your temperature of your team. You're looking over at Farasi and Bryan, they huffing and puffing, and AD smiling. Okay, hey, fella, we just gonna go to the locker room because we don't need no bullcrap because Mickey Joseph got hit with the 5,000. And with the way Dr. McClellan, I think that's his name, he might start raising that thing up like, okay, coach, you can't control your team. I'm going to start hitting in pockets. And once again, we don't make a lot of money as HBCU coaches. So, we'll come up with an assessment. I think that I remember when you say everybody put your helmets on, shake hands in the middle of the field, and jog to the sideline. That's what I always say. Put your helmets on, shake hands, meet me in the end zone. Like I said, remember I said last week, I see Farasi, and he's over there doing something. I'm only going to say it twice, and then you're not playing next week, because that's not what I want from you. But it comes down to the coach. You got to get a speech at either side, HBCUs, PWI. You got to get a speech. We're not having that embarrassment. But obviously, if the flag planting is starting to fight, stop the flag planting, and take your L and shake your hands and move on. I think you got to show some kind of sportsmanship because you got the little guys, and they're like sponges. They're watching everything we do, so they're watching HBCUs. They're watching the big guys, and if we're fighting, they're gonna be fighting, and they're gonna say, well, Michigan, Ohio State was fighting, or Howard and Grambling was fighting, they're going to say something like that. And you're like, wow, okay, son, well, you can't do that. Well, why not, Daddy? They did. And then you get upset, then you discipline your boy, but actually he's only doing what he saw. So we have to know that the little guys is watching us. And so we have to have some kind of dignity. Your family might just kick my butt, but hey, good job. See you guys later. And then jog on out, hey.
You know what
I know it's hard to say that, but you have to do it.
But Coach Norman, here's the other thing. I coach at the middle school level and the high school level. It ain't no different. They talking trash as they going through the line, the handshake line in high school and middle school. It doggone pee-wee ball. They talking trash going through the line. And how stupid is it for us? I got on shoulder pads. I got on a helmet. I got everything else on. How stupid am I to try to swing on somebody? Well, I ain't gonna do that but break my hand if I make contact.
That's it. Or maybe you have to go back to Little League. And I remember when I would play Little League football in Dallas, our coaches would walk us through the handshake. Walk us right. One coach right there, another coach 10 players down, another coach right behind him, and we walk through just in case. And we never did nothing like that. But now I'm thinking maybe that's what their coaches were thinking. Maybe just in case, everything like that. But maybe we have to get to that level. But we got to stop the foolishness and get back to sportsmanships. Fellas, before we go, I want to talk about NILs. I really do think they're killing us. I heard earlier, I was watching you guys this morning on Dr. Ville, and the commissioner from SWAC was saying, the SWAC got allocated so much money. Remember, me and you were talking about this too, BF. Now I come to recruit you, and I say, hey, Ms. Fulford, how you doing? And you say, Coach Norman, if you ain't got this kind of NIL for me, A.D. Drew was just here with FAMU, and they offered us $50,000. So my scholarship and opportunity to help your son get better, and 4 or 5 years is going to be a better man, that's no longer good no more. So if you ain't got money to put on the table for my son, that's called legalized prostitution. Look at how you want to. You're pimping your son. Not cool. I'll say this. My sister called me. Everybody know I talk about my nephew, and he's good. And I tell you, my nephew, he's good. Look him up, Omarion Kennedy. Little brother's real. And my sister called me the other day talking about, Farasi, what's up with this NIL? And I say, baby sis, that's between a company that trusts nephew to go on, and so they believe in him, so they put some dollars in his pocket. Well, how do I get it? And I say, Rach, don't try to get rich off your boy. Go get your ass a job. Go get your ass a job. Don't try to get rich off your boy. But that's where we are. That's where we're at now. And so that's hurting us, because once you start to pay a player, he's no longer an amateur, he's a professional. Once you get paid, you're not amateur, you're professional. So we just do amateur status out the way. We just do amateur status out the way. So now, when Coach Norman gets his opportunity to get back out there, I can't just have a scholarship in my portfolio. I got to have a bag.
Come on. Some of these kids will make more money in college athletics than they will ever make on a professional level.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, but so I'm representing Norman University, and I knock on your door. I gotta have a full scholarship, and I gotta have a bag.
Yep. And you better have an apartment in the car to go with it too.
So we back in the SMU 1982 days. So we're back
above
in the
board.
SMU days.
Except it's
above board.
The table instead
above the table. Right, above the table.
That's the mentality now.
Yeah. Crazy.
Welcome to 2024.
Yeah, it's crazy, because when the NIL first thing came out, you were thinking, hey, this is finally a great opportunity to do what should have been done years ago.
Mm-hmm. What was being done already under the table.
Yeah, under the table, right. It should have been done years ago, but it was being done under the table. So now it's over the table, and so now, sadly, like you said, college athletic programs have to start, and some are already doing it, and some are recognizing it. They have to start functioning like organizations. They have to start functioning like sports professional teams. I mean, you have to have managers. You have to have general managers. I'm hearing that's a new position I've heard, whether it be for various sports. Like I've heard basketball people having basketball general managers to be able to handle, to be able to do all the things that coaches don't want to do, or maybe don't have the time to do. So while you're recruiting a kid, I also got to have a general manager who can also handle the business side of you being at our university.
Wait, hold up, Brian. I'm supposed to put it in the media perspective. For those of us who deal with media on the college level, we now have to deal with certain players having their own media teams. Certain players having the photographer and or videographer and want you to credential them. And you have to remind these players sometimes that those pictures that you take with Norman University marks and logos on those uniforms, you cannot use those for your game without our permission. We have to constantly remind those student athletes of that. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You can't take that picture with my university on that and use that picture of you dunking on somebody and then go make some money off of it.
Right. Yeah. It's a heck of a landscape, Coach. You know, I know you got your hand in. I know you want to get in, but boy, it ain't the same landscape as it was 10 years ago.
Well, it ain't been 10 years since I've been coaching, Brian. It's only been 2, but I'm just thinking that I'm just thinking that I remember writing a letter to the NCAA, and I got nasty handwriting. You guys see I don't have the best handwriting in the world, but I sat down and I typed a letter and I said this: I appreciate you guys recognizing what the student athletes have been doing for years for the universities, but let's don't pay them. Let's do, and I broke it down. Full scholarships get this kind of what did I use? I didn't say allotment. I said stipend. So the full scholarship players get this kind of stipend. Walk-ons get this kind of stipend. Partial scholarships get this kind of stipend. Academic kids get this kind of stipend. So I believe every kid deserves something because they're putting their hand in the cookie jar to help bring that money to the university. But when we start where we're at right now, right? When I got my baby sister talking about, bro, what's up with the NIL deal? Whoa. And I've had people stop me before, coach, hey, how can I get this? I'm like, so the opportunity to get education for free, display your skills, get opportunity to maybe get to play on Sunday, which that's a blessing from God. The opportunity to go to college, because some of us don't get that far. That's out the door now. Got to have a bag. Got to have a bag.
So, Coach,
wow.
his kid is taking NIL to go to high school now.
That's where I was going to go. I was just going to say that. That's where it's now in high school.
Depending on what state you in.
Yeah. It's in high school. I mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey,
so it goes back to what you said. Kids make more money in college than going pro. What's my motivation to get up and go to science at 7:30? I got a 7:30 class. What's my motivation to get up? I'm not really caring about keeping that 2.3 no more because I'm paid already.
I'm gonna see my way through that class so I can stay eligible for next semester. I will see my way through it. Hey, Bryan, it's time for us to plant. It's time for us to plant our flag and get out of here.
Oh yeah, Chuck, I'm ready to get back in, baby. You know somebody looking for a coach, head coach, coordinator? Tell them to call the Norm. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready. Hey, before we go, focus on my boy real quick, fellas. Okay, we got it. Come on, BF. Look out for your boy one time. There we go. HBCUs. That's you guys. I do a lot of quotes. Okay, I'm big on quotes. And so this young pretty black girl said something the other day, and it popped in my head, and I wrote it down. She said, the role of an HBCU football coach that plays in a young man's life is major. That was beautiful, okay? Then I got John 3:16. I got that tatted on my chest. Then I got, my brother taught me this when I first became a coach back in 2007. He told me, he said, the road of leadership is lonely, which means that's why you always hear me talking about coaches stop playing and babysitting, be the head coach. The road of leadership is lonely. Okay, over here. Nothing works happening comes easy. We've seen Coach Norman his hand up for 2 years. Without struggle, there's no progress. Frederick Douglass. I love that one. And then the last one, since I've known you guys, this one I've been sticking to. Tears and prayers, prayers and tears. Because every morning when I wake up, I say my prayers and before I go to bed. And I have tears in my eyes. I tell you guys, sometimes I'm walking up the street to the gym. If you was coming in Alabama, you see me, you'd be like, what's wrong with that guy? I'm not crying, but I'm just wondering, is it my time? Is it my time? Help me out. Look out for me. We got, 2 games to go? Then the phone should start ringing. I know my guys have already been helping me out, but somebody in the chat, y'all know, sweet people, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Coach Norman.
Talk to me.
You need to be on the lookout this week because, we're all waiting on some heads to roll this week. No names. Not gonna speculate on any names.
Drew, but I was ready for heads to roll this time last year. In February, brother, I'm ready. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready.
Expect some names to roll. Expect some more names to roll this week.
Now, let me say this. There's 3 jobs that's open. But like I said last week, and I had a couple people tweet me like, Coach, are you going to go for it? And I says, I can't. And it's funny when I say I can't. I have a team. And my team says, we're not going for those. So I have to listen to my team because they came to me and said, let us help you. And I says, okay. So there's 3 jobs that's out there. And my team says, no. So I talked to one of the guys the other day. He said, this week should be a different week for us. But I can't go for those 3 jobs that's open. Those 2 are smiling because they're a part of my team. And they're telling me, it's like the little brother, big brother telling little brother, no, stay your ass in the house. You ain't going outside. But the homies are outside. I don't care. So that's not, man, damn. But you got to listen to the big brothers because they looking out for the little brother. So, hey, but yeah, Drew, I'm buddy. You know, and ABF know, and those who've been watching us know, I'm ready. Hey, told you I only got 3 bags. I travel light. I ain't married. Ain't got no kids. Nothing against a married man with a family, but hey, it's 3 bags in the norm. I'm there in the morning. That's Norman, everything like that, you know. So appreciate y'all. Let me show my board. John 3:16 on my chest. Then I got J's. I walked through the valley of shadows of death. I'll fear no evil. Yeah, I got that over there too. So I'm not a religious man, but I do believe in God, and I think that He's gonna help me this year, along with my 2 guys right there, along with my team. But I think God's gonna shine His light for me. Next week we got
SWAC championship game.
Thank you. SWAC championship. Then after that and then I plan to be in Atlanta. Celebration Bowl. So if you guys are there, you see me. I'm good people. Come shake my hand. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Everything like that. But yeah, I plan to be there. But yeah, I'll watch next week. It's on ESPN, correct?
Both of them. Yep.
What do you mean both of them? I thought we only had one game next week.
Virginia Union.
Oh, okay.
At 1 o'clock, and then you have the SWAC championship game at 2. Now those are Eastern time, so for you, it's noon and 1.
Oh man! So now I gotta. Okay.
You need 2 TVs. 2 TVs.
You gotta hit the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning, coach.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not worried about the gym. I'll get that out the way. But I was just thinking because I got my. I got my 70 right there. Then I got another 70 in my dining room, so I might just have to go back and forth. If I'm still here, I tell you what, he don't turn his heat on. Somebody might be getting a roommate soon.
Turn the fireplace. Get the fireplace going. You got a fireplace? You got a fireplace?
I ain't got no fireplace.
Get you a space heater. You need a space heater, coach.
I'm gonna have to get something, brother, because it's chilly. I feel like a little penguin.
I'm gonna let you go. ESPN2, coach, is where you can watch that SWAC championship game. Thank you.
I'm on it. Everything like that. But yeah, it's time to watch down. Y'all look out for me now. I'm ready to get back out. And I don't represent just one. I represent us all. You don't want to be on the opposite sideline because I run up scores, but I still love you though.
You just said, okay, bye. I'm not gonna mess with you about that. All right, bye, coach. Thank you.
All right.
I always appreciate it.
Let's plant this flag, Bryan. Walk out with his W.
No, you can go. I told you, I got the graphics I'm gonna show. So if you want to leave, you can walk out. I'm gonna let you roll out just like Ohio State did, but I'm gonna stay here in the middle of this field and I'm gonna do this graphic on my win totals, doggone it. I told you I was doing the win totals. So that's on y'all. Coach,
come on.
Take care.
Come on, Bryan. Let's roll.
All right. See y'all next Sunday.
All right. So, 2 quick announcements, though. Before I get to that, I know the volleyball, the HBCUs that were going into the NCAA volleyball tournament were announced a couple hours ago. In the, I don't know what region this is, but Delaware State will play. I'm looking at it here. They will play on December 6th. That is a Friday night against Penn State, who is the 1 seed in a region. Penn State finished 28-2. So Delaware State will take on Penn State. That is a 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN+. So, of course, Delaware State, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference champions. So that is a bracket. I don't know how they do the brackets like East, West, and all that other stuff, but it's, and then Florida A&M will travel to, hold on, where'd it go? They are in an entirely different bracket where they will travel to Nebraska, to Lincoln, Nebraska, to take on the Cornhuskers, Lady Cornhuskers. That is also on Friday, December 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Nebraska 29-2, Florida A&M 27-6. So pretty interesting there. So congratulations to the Lady Hornets and the Lady Raptors, the only 2 HBCUs to receive an invitation, they earned their invitation. So they're the only 2 to get in, as I'm scanning here, into the NCAA volleyball tournament. All right, so yeah. Okay. I see Edwin said tweeted. Okay, I'll tweet this out as well. So I'll be real quick. These were the preseason HBCU season win totals. These are what the BCSN predicted win totals were. You can see the far left column, Delaware State at 2.5, all the way Howard at 7.5, Morgan 6.5, Norfolk State, Central, South Carolina State. And then you see in the middle 2 columns, you have the SWAC East and SWAC West. And then in the far right column, you have your independents. Now, AD and I, we basically went through this along with Jamie. Well, Jamie Walker was here for us at the beginning, and I never did get his predictions for the SWAC and the non-conference. But one of the points that I brought out, Drew, is, I kind of get a lot of this info from Massey ratings. Would you like to know the conference that Massey rating got most correct was the SWAC in terms of its preseason predicted record for the teams. Massey Ratings correctly picked, and I say correctly because within one game, 10 of the 12 SWAC schools, and of the 10, they got 4 exactly right. Care to guess the 2 schools that they did not get right in their season win totals?
Valley.
Nope.
That's not one of them.
That is not one.
Did not get right.
Well, they predicted Valley to go 0-12, which they probably should have gotten that right, but anyway, Valley finished 1-11.
So FAMU would be 1.
FAMU would be 1. They predicted FAMU to go 10-2. FAMU finished 7-5.
And
you might not guess this one. They predicted somebody lower than where they actually finished in the West.
In the West, Texas Southern.
No, actually, Grambling State.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, Prairie View A&M. They predicted 3-9 from Prairie View, and they finished 5-7.
All right.
Yeah, Texas Southern. They were actually within a game of the two that they got right in the West was Alcorn at 6-6 and Southern at 8-4. And then in the East, they got Alabama A&M correct at 6-6, and they got Jackson State correct at 10-2. The only MEAC team that they got correct was North Carolina Central, 8-3. And they did not get any of the independents correct.
Right.
So now, based on our FCS HBCU season win totals, you blew me out of the water. You won this contest. You won 5 games. You were better than me in 5 games. You correctly picked, in terms of over and under, you correctly picked 12 of the 21 schools. I sadly only picked 7. I whiffed completely on the SWAC West, going 0 for 6. Not even I completely had the SWAC West wrong. I went 0-6 in the SWAC West. So here we go. These are the schools that went over and under our BCSN, FCS, HBCU season win totals. As you can see, we set the line for Norfolk State at 3.5. They won 4. Central at 7.5. They won 8 games. And South Carolina State well above the 5.5. Howard was probably the biggest loser. We had 7.5. They went well under that. If you look over in the East, the second column to the left, all 5 of the 6 schools went under the number that we predicted, with only Jackson State going over that 8.5 number that we set. In the West, only Southern and Texas Southern went over the number. So again, if you look in total, 5 plus 4, 9 of the 12 schools went in the SWAC went under the preseason predicted win totals that we set. And then for the independents, only Tennessee State went over their number, and they went well over their number.
Hampton and A&T went well under.
Yes, A&T went well under. Hampton just finished a game under. Hampton had 2 games that they probably should have won, that would have put them over, but they ended up losing them late in the 4th quarter or in overtime. And that's why they ended up being 5-7 instead of 7-5. I don't know, Drew. Would I have made the books money as a line? The guy who sets the lines, his job is to get, more money. I think most people usually bet overs, right? When you think?
Because they are optimistic about their teams.
Right. So based on the lines that I set, I got, let me see, 3, 5, 8, 12. I got 14 right. 14 unders, which sadly coincides with my 7-14 record. So yes, I'm losing 5 units while you are up 3 units, Drew, on in this, where I have, I would have taken a serious loss, and people would tell me, well, personally, they would tell me to do something different. But some sports book, they may hire me, because if I can produce numbers that get people betting over, and I hit like this, I don't know, Drew, I might have made the house a lot of money. What's your general thoughts on these win totals that you saw?
Yeah, nothing right here shocks me out of all of these teams.
Biggest winner and loser. How about this? Let me ask that question. Who do you think the biggest winner and loser, when you look at the preseason predicted total versus the outcome?
Biggest winner, Tennessee State, hands down.
Yeah, I would agree. That maybe South Carolina State too. I would go South Carolina State and Tennessee State.
South Carolina State, yeah, but Tennessee State still, I think, was a little bit of a bigger winner to me. I mean, but they're 1A and 1B. Biggest loser, who?
I'll say this about that. South Carolina State was predicted to go 4-7. Tennessee State was predicted to go 5-7.
Yeah. I would say the biggest loser would have to be Howard.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I would say Howard. Yeah, Howard was predicted to finish 9-3. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I just wanted to get that in. A little fun exercise based on the results of the season. So I'll make sure to tweet this out a little bit later. All right. Final. Well, I don't know. Are you able to give a prediction for the SWAC championship game?
Well, I don't work anywhere in the SWAC.
All right.
I just stay away from SIAC games.
Right. So what's your prediction? Southern versus Jackson State. Charles Edmonds is on record picking Jackson State to win. I forgot what score, but he picked Jackson State to win. I think I'm picking Jackson State to win as well. I think
I'm picking Jackson State in the close one.
Close one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the game takes place Saturday. So how about Valdosta and Virginia Union? I've got Union winning.
I'm staying with Valdosta State.
Okay. No shade in that.
No shame in that. I love Coach Parker to death. I want Coach Parker to win, but my piece of money is going on Valdosta State.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. We'll be putting up some polls throughout the week and get a gauge on what you guys think. Jackson State, Southern. Looking forward to seeing a little bit later in the week what the actual line odds are when they get published.
Over under 50.
Under.
Or 49 point. Let's say 49.5.
I go under.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean the last game was 42 was the total. The game went 48. So yeah, I'm going under. I think it'll be Southern. I think it'll be closer, but I think it still may be controlled by Jackson State though.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, hey, you guys who are still watching, wherever you're watching us at, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up and the like button. Even if you're watching the show on replay, you can still hit the thumbs up and the like button. We appreciate you spending time. I'm real appreciative of Charles Edmond for joining me earlier in the show. Coach Farasi for coming in as well. Appreciate you finding time to jump in, Drew. We hope we gave you some entertainment and something to think about throughout the course of the week. Keep your eyes open.
If you have made it this far into the show and have not hit the like or subscribe button, shame on you.
Shame on you, exactly. Come on now. Do us a solid. Help the algorithm out. Do us a favor. And speaking of doing us a favor, go check out the BCSN Pod Zone. BCSN Pod Zone. Everywhere you listen, watch, podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, maybe however, wherever. Go check us out. Download the shows. If you missed Carlos Brown's show yesterday, that is available on the Pod Zone. If you missed Dr. Cavill's show this morning, that show is available on the Pod Zone. And this show will be available sometime tomorrow on the Pod Zone. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate your support of what we do. And that's it. You go out and have a great week. Be great on purpose and get the last month of the year off to a good start. It's the Christmas season, so get into the Christmas spirit, everybody. For A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Thanks for watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. Peace out, everybody.
Travel light, everybody. Wow.